How's it going, everybody? And welcome to an attempted episode of No Excuses with your favorite show host, Aristil.
And Volacel, and I've got more gunpowder than Aristeel has, but not by much. We're here to bring this news and games commentary for the week, such as it was. Um, yeah, and what a week it's been in a variety of ways for the both of us. So
I got
yeah, we'll do our best, but we don't have much to give, and we don't even have a Fern because Fern has got afternoon shift, so he couldn't be here today.
if you pray to God and say, "Look, I'm a little concerned about the way business is going. If it's in the plan, I'd really appreciate some more business." And he goes, "All right, you only got yourself to blame."
You'll ask for it. I know what you're complaining about.
I mean, all you could do is send a telegram back that says, "Well, I did ask for it."
Yeah, so it's been a time all right. It's been a time all right. Um,
So
I
this,
guess we will just get into weeks. There's not really much else for us to do here, and we don't have a Fern to get us started. So I guess it's down to me. Um, beginning of the week. Beginning of the week. Um, just before the show last week, I got the news that my grandfather had just passed away. It's been a long time coming. Nobody even knows how old he was. Um, there's he was born in a very small village in China, and records were basically not kept there. So they didn't have birth certificates and things. That was sort of a Western innovation that didn't come to China really. The idea that your birth would be recorded if you weren't a city person was sort of alien until the communists universalized writing paperwork about everything. Um, so yeah, nobody really knows how old he is, and he doesn't know because he lied about his age so many times over the course of his history for various things, like so that he could get a job, so that he could avoid conscription, etc., etc. Um, because of course he was in Malaysia at the time that the Japanese took Malaysia during the war, and he was sort of shortlisted to be um, drafted into the work gangs that they were sending to build infrastructure in Burma, and almost nobody came back alive from those. But he managed to wriggle out of it. But that was just stacking false report about his age on top of false report about his age, to the point that nobody knows. Like when they eventually had to make official records for him, they just chose a date. According to that date, he's 104 years old at the time that he died. It's probably pretty close, plus or minus 2 years, sort of thing. But nobody's really that sure. No one knows the day or the year. Um, there's a sort of like probably Year of the Pig is what people will say about it. But yeah, at any rate, he passed at the beginning of last week, and so I spent the front half of this week trying to build up enough momentum at work that the ball would keep rolling while I was gone, and then I had to travel to Australia for the funeral, and I only just got back last night. So I've been pretty busy this week. Haven't had much time to do anything particularly interesting. Um, because I've been running about, and when I'm not running about, I'm sitting in airports, and I'm sort of incredulous about how shambolic Sydney International Airport is. I know it's a big airport with a lot of people going through it, but it seems to just be being operated horribly inefficiently. Like they kept fencing off the departure lounges until like 10 minutes before boarding. So the departure lounges were mostly empty, and there are people standing everywhere because there's nowhere to sit. And they weren't announcing anything over the intercoms. There were like airport staff running around shouting at the top of their lungs, trying to attract attention to people, to get people to go to their departure gate, which hadn't been announced until the last minute. So most people didn't know about it. If they weren't standing near a board, they wouldn't know that their gate had been determined and opened. And they determined the opening the gate that was going to open for my flight something like 20 minutes after the flight was supposed to start boarding. So yeah, it was basically bedlam on the way back. The way up was much more efficient. Everything went swimmingly, so at least there's that. But yeah, so I've been occupied for this week for the most part. I haven't really done much to speak of. Blue Archive hasn't really been doing anything this week, which is fortunate. I haven't missed anything because it's the tail end of the sleepover event. So, following the usual pattern, it's going to be a rerun event up next. Though I can't remember which one. But yeah, next along the line is I will go with ZZZ next because I also haven't done anything in ZZZ. That's also in a holding pattern because the Facebook game is not very demanding. I was able to do the Facebook game while I was away, but I haven't made much progress on it because I didn't sit down to think about efficient ways of progressing it or anything like that. So that's still pottering along. As far as the other operating events go, I've done like the straightforward combat one, I've done the golden bamboo one, I've done the story, I'm working on the temple. I haven't had time to do battle tower yet, haven't had time to do sheer defense or deadly assault yet. Hopefully I'll have time tomorrow to get them caught up before I get left behind. But fortunately there is a lot of polychromes floating about and I'm still sitting on 55k. Because they handed them out like candy immediately after I spent them on Yishun, which is good because I am definitely going to roll on best Orange Cat Theron when her banner comes up.
She has informed us she is in fact not a kitty.
I stand by my original assertion when they drip marketed her that she is outrageously adorable, and I can't not roll for her.
I'm gonna turn her to stone and put her in the cat box.
I don't know how much utility she's going to have. The buffs that she gives to her team are pretty solid. But otherwise, she sort of has just got interesting mechanics to play with. And I'm always in a sort of a conflicted position with stun characters because stun characters with interesting mechanics always feel a little bit disappointing because you've kind of got a vested interest in not having them on field. You just kind of want to get them to get their job done and then get off field. And you know they have improved the capacity of stun characters to contribute when they're not on field compared to what it used to be like, but it's still a bit disappointing because I really like playing Jufufu. Like I like her animations and I like her abilities. I think that they're fun and she's adorable, of course. But of course, your job is to get her off field so you can get somebody else on field in her place, which is always a bit of a disappointment in a certain way. But yeah, I'll pull for her anyway because she's adorable. That's the only reason I really need. That said, the upcoming characters I'm also kind of interested in pulling as well because Alice is basically straight up an alternative to Jane. So I've got a fairly strong incentive to pull her in the sense that I just don't want to build Piper. I don't want to. I've got her leveled up, but I haven't farmed up gear for her. I haven't really improved her skills beyond sort of like the minimum level and so on and so forth. And being on field damage dealing character, you have to flesh out skills pretty thoroughly on Piper to make her useful. And I just don't want to. I think that I would rather play a character like Alice anyway. It looks to me like she's basically works similarly to Clarande. So that will suit me just fine. Yuzuha, I'm not so sure about. I don't really understand what her mechanics are. She has her own resource gauge and so on, and there's another parasol wielder like Vivian. Physical support. Don't know anything about her mechanics because I don't follow ZZZ mechanics. And in as much as Oyo tend to have a great deal of ability bloat in terms of the way the number of interactions and the way they describe them, ZZZ I feel is by far the worst of the three big ones.
When I read Skirk's descriptions, it's definitely given ZZZ a run for its money in terms of word count.
That's because Skirk is two characters. Skirk is not one character. There are two distinct play styles that you can do Skirk as, and they're almost but not quite mutually exclusive. It's basically to do whatever type of combat you prefer. But I'll get to that in a moment. So yeah, I'm still flush with polychrome, which is good. And I don't know how many days are left on Yishin's banner. Like, when is Jufufu coming up?
I think in a week.
A week or so. Okay, so I've still got time to round up a little bit more polychrome, get ahead of the game. Since I like Jufufu, I probably will play her quite a bit, so I might get a W engine as well if the stats on it are like ones that I can't reasonably get. This seems to be a bit of a paucity of really good stun W engines in the game. Like, it always comes down to I'll use Collider's one, or
Yeah,
that's about it.
the A ranks can sometimes wind up not being too far behind for some characters. Like stuns are all over the place and how good they are.
Yeah, I don't know what Jufufu's scaling is like, because like I said, I don't understand anything that's in the character descriptions for ZZZ characters. So we'll wait and see if her W engine gives a really good, unique sort of buff. Then I might pull for it. We'll see. I did pull for triggers after all, because trigger basically doesn't really operate like any other stunner in the game.
Well, she was
It's all about her.
Her and Ambi were the first two aftershock characters, so they kind of
Was
hadn't.
Polkra not at the same time?
Oh
Before
yeah,
them?
Polkra. That's right. Polkra came out right alongside him, so maybe her
Yeah.
W engine would have. But
Yeah, I don't know how well box cutter works on trigger, but I don't need to know because I got trigger's signature. But yeah, the incentive to pull signatures tends to be very high right at the start of the game, because the other ones floating around, the A ranks floating around, are bad. And later on in the game, like in Genshin, where the mechanics are so unique that earlier ones just don't cover anything anymore in a lot of cases, the gap tends to get pretty wide. Like, if you look at Skirk's signature weapon, for instance, it's completely useless for any character not named Skirk. There's actually nobody else who can use it. It's kind of a farce, really.
you got Navia's Claymore sitting there, which is just a crit rate stick for anybody that doesn't have name Navia.
Yeah, pretty much. By contrast, I'll get to that in a bit, actually. Anyway, so yeah, as ZZZ, not much is moving there. So now to Genshin. I pulled for Skirk. I pulled for Skirk's signature. I got cleaned out by it almost, not quite, but almost. Close enough that I can't pull anything else, that's for sure. But Skirk was intending to be my last for this this major version until the next one. Probably Columbina will be the next one, since she's the only one that's caught my eye as a massive red flag girl who obviously I have to pull. But we'll see what else. The next one coming out is Teyvat Igus, the robot girl. I can't remember her name. Anefa, I think, as she's called. And she's basically they're moving on from freeze teams to electro charge teams. So she's got a unique spin on electro charge that is going to basically make Yaimiko great again, I guess. So yeah, they're moving in that direction, since they've got so much cryo sloshing about right now. Electro charge is the next that's up, and she's going to have a unique electro charge, which basically allows her to turn a reaction into a pseudo Yaimiko, which does periodic damage over time after the reaction's been triggered. How universal that'll be, and if it's something that's going to spill out into multiple teams, like an alternate version of burning that they tried to sort of promote burning a lot more immediately before Netland. Like, I don't know if they're just going to go that route where they make a couple characters that make burning work quite well and then they abandon the idea entirely, or whether they're going to spin it out the way they've really, really strongly emphasized freeze over the past several patches. Well, it remains to be seen. I didn't have any strong desire to pull for Nefer though. Even if I had the resources, I've currently got a team I've got to focus on building up, because when I pulled Skirk, I got miserable rolls on the artifacts I had available for her. So her stats are not anywhere near where I'd like them to be. She's one of those characters though that has a stat that is completely dead. Like, most bad stats contribute to something you don't care that much about or have a minimal effect, but energy recharge is completely dead for Skirk. It doesn't do anything. So, yeah. That made it kind of hard to filter through artifacts. But I've got a workable set so that I can play her. She completely cleaned me out on Mora, so I had to do several days worth of the old golden ley lines in order to just get her skills to semi-usable.
Do I finally have more money than you?
At present, I have 1.7 million Mora.
Okay, I only have 3 million Mora.
Yeah, and that 1.7 million is just me doing a few ley lines to get a cushion, because I still have skill level ups to do. Fortunately, Skirk is one of those characters whose basic attack doesn't get used, because while she does she does a lot of basic attacking in terms of the buttons that you press. She actually pulls her multipliers most of the time from her skill, not from her basic attack. Sort of the way Chloranda doesn't really basic attack. Yeah. So Skirk is an interesting kit. I very, very much enjoy playing Skirk compared to Mavwika. They're both sort of point men DPS characters, but I don't like Mavwika's playstyle at all. It's all sort of boom and bust and hope that you crit, which is sort of the opposite of Chlorand, who I played for the longest time. And Skirk is much, much, much more like Chlorand than she is like Mavwika. But that said, you can play her like Mavwika if you want to, which is the weird thing about her. Like I said, she's two characters, she's not one. Two closely related characters to be sure, but her kit is split in such a way that you can play her in two different ways. So her basic attack isn't used for anything, you don't need to worry about that, but her skill has a tap version and a hold version, like a lot of characters. Now, the hold version basically just makes you go into high speed movement mode and will suck up resources that might be lying on the ground, since she generates resources when reactions are occurring around her. But the main purpose of it is that when she does that, she charges energy in her energy bar. It's not her energy bar, it's her what is it called, serpent subtlety or something resource, which is it's part of a school of swordsmanship out of Kanria. Yeah, serpent subtlety. It charges that gauge, and when she has that gauge charged, she can unleash from her base form her ultimate, which does quite a lot of damage. So that's one play style. You can basically use your team to generate reactions, to which will you use to charge up her serpent subtlety, and then use her burst, which hits quite hard. So you can play her like Mavwika in that sense, because Mavwika operates similarly as far as her burst is concerned.
It's Raiden Shogun.
The alternate method is to use her tap, and her tap causes her to go into a DPS stance. While she's in her DPS stance, she cannot use her ultimate, and her energy will constantly drain away. Ugh. And she will do lots of slashy slash. You're not generating enough reactions, I'm getting shreked. Okay, that's not going to work. Basically, she doesn't work unless you constantly have freeze reactions taking place. Oh,
Of course, it's the last one. My only Hydro driver is slow. Oh, we did skip the phase.
Right, so she does a lot of damage if you use her as an on-field just spammy attack character, but it requires her to be supported. So when she uses her tap skill to go into her DPS mode, I presume you've left already. I
Yes.
don't think I need any of these. I can claim it anyway. Why not claim it?
I need parts for Nailu from it.
I don't really need anything, but I might at some point.
I'm pre-planning the Nailu team at this point because I got Kokomi.
Where have you gone?
Outside the thing.
Right, so if you use her tap skill, then she goes into dual wielding mode. And then just sort of spams. And rather than using her ult, which she can't use her ult when she's in that mode, hitting her alt button causes her to do a special attack, which does some buffs and things. Not huge ones, but significant ones. Not enough that you'd want to skip it. But the purpose of her alt is that it will snap absorb any of those little rifts that you saw created in combat floating around.
The little zigzags.
Yeah, you can also absorb those by doing a charge attack. But charge attack, of course, you've got to use a charge attack, which number one wastes time, and number two is a DPS loss for her. But that will also suck up those if you don't have your ult available, since the ult's got a cooldown. But if you use your ult, it will stack a buff and it will grab all of those, and they will give you a little bit of a top up to your energy as it drains away in that combat mode. And of course, once it's 0, you drop out of that mode, and then you go back to trying to charge it up again. The high speed movement will just give you a chunk of it, but the main way that you charge it is by basically generating a lot of reactions, so that the reactions will drop those rifts which you can pick up for energy. So yeah, you can use her as sort of like a spam attack character, or you can use her as a burst character, depending on the way you want to emphasize it. There is a hybrid mode as well, but specialization usually works better than hybridization when it comes to play styles in this game, because you've got a whole team of characters to cover other things. So yeah, so she's an interesting character to play. Her power is locked behind her teammates. Now, she has a heap of restrictions on her team. Number one, you need to have at least one other character in the party needs to be Hydro. At least one other character in the party needs to be Cryo, and you can't have any non-Hydro, non-Cryo. If you do, she starts losing power really fast, much like a lot of the other recent characters, like Escoffier and so on. Her multipliers will take serious hits. But on top of that, when characters of those elements apply damage to an enemy, that will give her a buff, and she will gradually generate 3 pips of buffs when each of her 3 teammates does damage. So before you bring her on field, normally you're going to start with like setup. So you'll start with Farina, and then Escoffier, and then your other supporter, and then you'll bring Skirk on field once she's got all 3 pips of her buff. And that'll be good for about 20 seconds or so. Your DPS will be good for about 20 seconds or so. And then you do your business as Skirk, whether it's coming on field and bursting, or whether it's coming on field and doing a flurry of combos, and then off field and rotate background to your other characters. So if you're running a dual DPS with Skirk, you're definitely going to want to favor the burst mode, because that will give you extra time to have your other DPS on field. If you're using a hyper carry approach, you're probably going to get better performance out of using the combo flurry approach.
Got to get some gear.
So there's a lot to Skirk, and her text is really complicated at first blush, but once you've had some time fiddling around with it, you can't abandon the text entirely, because a lot of stuff is like really not obvious. Like the idea that you're going to get any kind of buffs from using your ult in combo mode is really impenetrable. You can't tell by looking, really. So it's quite important that you do have at least a reasonable knowledge of her abilities, or nothing's going to click together, because most characters use all of their abilities in their kit for their playstyle, whereas Skirk uses half at a time. So it's a little bit different to the normal approach.
They delete pretty good. Rena and Kokomi helping.
Cash. Yeah, so I enjoy playing her. Her, like I said, her weapon is egregiously Skirk focused. Like, it only works for characters, basically. Well, that's not 100% true. Like, it's sort of 90% true, like for most characters. But a lot of her weapons mechanics are dependent on having 0 energy, and put bluntly, most characters just don't have 0 energy that much of the time. So it's not really that relevant. But yeah, that it is what it is, I guess. Not really much else to say about that. I did also get Shinhei's signature while I was trying to get Skirk's.
Another weapon for Wubba.
Yeah, I guess, but Shinhei's signature is actually quite flexible, all told. It it's a attack scaling weapon. It gives all elemental damage a 12% bonus, and you get an increase in attack when you have used an elemental skill. So this applies to heaps of polearm users. Any attack-centric polearm user is going to be able to at least do something with this. It's not like a lost cause the way some of them are.
These guys are not
But,
having a good time with the Fishwife team.
no, they are getting fished on. But yeah, so I cleaned myself out, so I'm going to go into saving mode until Nod Cry. I don't know who I'm going to pull on there. Like, Columbina is a good pick. Alice is a good pick. There's supposed to be another Geo lady coming out to see how that goes.
On the one hand,
Yeah,
yay for more Geo ladies. On the other hand, I would feel bad betraying our Geo ladies.
we'll see. I don't know what type of Geo lady she's going to be, so.
Then we fished on things. All just got frozen. That is very silly.
So, also, I think that there is a very strong incentive to pull for Skirk's signature, not just because it works extremely effectively for her, although it's got weird foibles that I'm not really paying any attention to because it's kind of sweaty too, but there's like a sort of like a 6-second to dead time in her rotation that you're supposed to respect to get the most out of her signature weapon. But I'm just not that sweaty, I guess. But yeah, it's not only that, not only the mechanics, but also because she's a dual wielder, she creates her other weapon as like a dark tone version of her signature. So she'll have a light tone one and a dark tone one when she's dual wielding, but otherwise they look quite similar. They're done in the same aesthetic. If you are using another weapon, it will just look like that weapon, and the one she creates during her dual wielding stance will look the same as though you had the signature in the other hand. So it ends up looking really unbalanced, especially if you've got a like a 4-star of an odd length, let's say, or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, she also does sort of like the Darth Maul double-ended weapon type thing at various points,
Oh, the
and that
best.
looks incredibly jank if you've got like I put on whatchamacallit, prototype Ranker just to see, or
Oh,
whatever it's called. I
oh
can't
dear.
prototype, what is it? And it looks super jank, like just really bad. I mean, when you're spamming around and she's in her sort of berserker state, you know, most people ain't going to notice, but it would bother me. It would bother me. I mean, even the whatchamacallit, dual blades in Monster Hunter from Jindahan, the fact that one has 2 blades and the other one has 3 bothers me.
Oh,
You can't tell unless you're looking for it, but that is in fact the case.
the heat sink.
Yeah, the heatsink.
Double Fishwife team is very funny. They just don't get they don't get a turn.
Fish.
HP percent 1 with flat defense and flat HP. It do have energy recharge on it. Lit happens to it. On my resume.
All right. So yeah, I'm quite happy with the pull. Her constellations, I don't think that I'm gonna go constellation route on her. It's not that they're not good; they're okay. But
Good enough
like
on
her
her
first
own.
constellation, yeah, her first constellation is kind of like Sitlali's first constellation. That it just adds a sort of a token amount extra damage. Like basically, when she's absorbing void rifts for energy, um, they will do damage to nearby opponents. But the damage is like 500% of base attack sort of thing. So, like for most characters, it's going to be what, 10,000 damage? Which ain't nothing. Ain't nothing. But is it really worth another character?
Probably not.
Probably.
I'm gonna go murder a Pyro Red is fine.
Because boss kills this week. It's probably not worth it. Her second one is a bit more integrated with her kit. It basically allows it to count more energy in that when you're consuming things for your burst and so on. It's got a bunch of little foibles to it, but again, it's probably just not worth. Probably just not worth. Oh my goodness, flying over to where that waffle flower was, but it just teleported away from me instead.
The Whopper Flower. Okay. Excellent.
But yeah, so I don't think I'll go that. I don't think I'll go that route. Tempting because it always is, but no, thank you.
Only character I've gone retard with the constellations or whatever's in these games on is
And Mafuika.
I did get to see one on Mamawika. One of that bigger gas tank. I was tempted to do it with Varisa too, but I was trying to save for other characters. I had the funds around, and I already had to spend money on Kokomi. Or Red is fine. I don't know how well the Fishwife team will do on Cryo Red is fine, but we could try.
It won't do damage. I can't do damage against it.
Who's a good alternative?
Using cryo characters against cryo ridge is fine. It's just sort of wasting your time. I'll be down to physical damage. I haven't leveled those skills up.
We could try the Electro Red is fine. I don't even know what he does.
I don't even know where it is.
It's like over Sumeru. Where's the Pyro Red is fine reference?
Underground.
I don't even know what this guy does.
Well, I don't know how to make him take damage, okay?
Then we gotta bop the eyeball. He started with it up. There's also this thing that I can't do anything to. I don't think I've ever had a character that needed Electro Red.
How am I supposed to reach the eyeball?
Oh, now the thing on the ground.
I just died. It's not taking much damage, and I'm not dealing much damage. I still don't understand.
Thing over here with an HP bar that I can't do damage to. Apparently, doesn't care about Hydro. On his belly button. Ran away. Where'd it go now? Now it's back on his head again.
Inconvenient.
There's this thing over here I can't do damage to because it's
Oh my goodness. Piss off. Every time I resurrect a Scofia, she just dies again instantaneously. Can't do damage to anything.
It's on the bottom. There it goes. Now he fell down.
I don't have any anything, so it doesn't matter.
Hey, I got a Chivo. Okay, Electro Red just fine won't work.
Totally wasn't worth. At least I got Primos for the tutorial. Apparently you're supposed to use it. I don't even understand that description. I'd have to watch what it does for a while first. Anyway, that's that part. I haven't done the current event at the moment. It's supposedly fairly elaborate, if I recall the previews, but I haven't touched it, so I have no idea how it works. I have done the Archon quest. It is quite short. It is a Dines Leaf quest. It has an abundance of Best Girl Sitlali in it, so I'm perfectly happy with it. Oh my goodness, this Scofier. Grow a hit point, please. But yeah, I'm not going to say anything about it because it's spoilers for RSL at this point, I presume.
Yeah, I haven't done any. I'm 2 Archon quests behind in Genshin now. The voice actors are coming back in Genshin. Well,
yeah.
the ones that actually care about their job are coming back. So not all of them have been implemented this patch. Presumably the ones that that don't want to get fired will be back next patch, and then I can do the 5.6 and 5.7 Archon quests back to back, and probably the 6.0, 5.8, whatever.
Yeah, for there is a 5.8 as far as I'm aware. Where did you go?
Oh, I teleported really far, so we would reset.
Oh. I didn't. Is that something we need to do?
Yeah, because I'm not looting.
I can't remember how it works these days.
Because I'm not looting him. We gotta okay. Killing him to get my boss kills for the week done, because I haven't done any Hoyo gameplay at all this week aside from like the first 2 days. Like Sunday and Monday were the only days I played.
Anyway, yeah. So it's a you don't spend a lot of time with Dine's Leaf. There it's it is a Dine's Leaf quest in the sense that this is all about what's going on with the twins and the Abyss Order and that type of thing. It's that sort of uh quest. I can't help but wonder if there's been something lost in the translation though, because there's a certain plot point that I can't talk about because that would be spoilers. Um, ooh, that just stung.
Did you just one shot the just fine?
Apparently. But yeah, there's a plot point I can't talk about because it would be spoilers. That it's like I don't know if they lost something in the translation and it wasn't really explained correctly, because it seems like that there's an obvious sort of, I won't say it's a plot hole because it's not necessarily a plot hole, because in Hoyo you can explain plot holes away simply by introducing a new mechanic, which is what Nasu does as well. But there's a thing that suggests that there's no fundamental cause of one of the events that happens, and it just sort of happens because. And I think that the excuse is going to be to blame it on the Lord of Time. That's basically what I think that they're going to do.
Yeah, when in doubt, there's all kinds of critters they can. Well, forbidden knowledge was their go-to during Sumeru for why everything was terrible, and
Yeah,
anything.
and main Natlan has been Lord of Death gets blamed for everything, and I have a funny feeling that it's Istaroth's turn next.
Yeah, Inazuma and before they didn't really have enough nailed down. I don't think to have a go-to target for all the shenaniganery. But as soon as we hit Sumeru, up Forbidden Knowledge did it.
Yeah, they've sort of stopped talking about it now. It seems to be like it was the big deal, but yeah. I've done part of Skirk's story quest. It's so far mostly Wushu Mountain training with Skirk. But other than that, it's a pretty straightforward thaw out the Ice Queen type narrative. Being that Skirk doesn't really want to tell you all that much about anything, and you've just got to sort of crack the armor.
Ever since I watched a few clips of her in the live stream, it's now just thaw out the Valley Girl.
I'm glad I don't play in English. But yeah, so you just sort of you hang out with Skirk, and she's pretty messed up, like as a person. Doesn't seem to have had the best upbringing. It seems like when she was a child, she had wonderful, loving parents, but that a lot of that evaporated pretty quickly, and she ended up under the tutelage of Sudologi, who's not nice. But yeah, Sudologi is a harsh teacher, we'll say. And also appears to have a big chunk of his body missing, I guess, and is just replaced by one of those big quantum swirlies.
I see.
But yeah, he's one of the higher ups on the power chart. Like he's one of those one of the surviving Kanrians, for starters. He What else has been told about him? He was a pal of Dinesleaf back when they were both normies. And so they were also both obsessive sword maniacs. But he seems to have gotten a bit twisted over the course of time. But he's sort of like in the really the upper tier of power of the like the Hexen Circle.
I see.
They're just like they're cut above even the Archons sort of thing. but you don't see him at all as far as I have encountered so far. I don't think he's like Skirk talks about him. The implication is that he's somewhere else, not on Teyvat. He's somewhere sort of else in the cosmos, as it were, and occasionally Skypes her, sort of thing. It's sort of a bit hard to tell whether or not he's checking up on her because he cares about her, or if he's got some other malevolent goal. Because I mean, Skirk's pretty upfront about the fact that that they're going to have a showdown and that they are both expecting one. But the fact that they still maintain an ongoing relationship despite the fact that they both intend to kill the other seems kind of weird. But I guess it's the norm for weird people to have weird relationships.
Hello,
But
hello, crazy daughter of mine. Have you killed anyone interesting today?
yeah, the reason why Skirk doesn't have any limbs and has like artificial void powered limbs is it seems to be more or less that uh, this is something that she inherited from her teacher, because apparently it's a very very minor spoiler, I suppose, from the Archon quest, but Sertologi mentions. I mean, Dinesleaf mentions that he knew Sertologi and that Sertologi lost his limbs when they were alive. So I guess he just thinks it's no big deal to lose your limbs now that Sertologi is sort of like a crazy Hexenzirkel abyss mage type creature or something. I guess it's sort of hard to tell. He seems kind of weird. So yeah, it seems that basically his solution to injury and that sort of thing is to just cut off the damaged bits and rebuild a new one out of abyss energy, and it'll be okay. But yeah, so there's not a very remarkable story. Like from what I've seen, it's definitely not in among my favorites of the character stories. It's just a little bit standard, I guess. I can't imagine anything topping Clarence, to be totally honest. Like Clarence one was just so good.
Well, they kind of did go full retard with that one, with the whole D
I
and D
mean, all
thing.
you need to do is use persuasion. Am I right?
Avia
When in
is
doubt, you can just persuade.
Avia is best at D&D.
Navia would definitely be one of those people who just like ruthlessly exploits the rules.
Navia would decide whether or not she's going to Timmy power game or hard RP game on what would wind up the DM more, I think.
But yeah, it's okay from what I've seen. I don't know if it's going to have some sort of awesome grand finale or something that I haven't seen yet, but so far it's okay. Like I said, mainly just Wuju mountain training with Skirk, because she's not terribly satisfied at your level of skill and thinks that you're just wasting your potential picking up every random skill from all over Teyvat without ever consolidating them into your own style. But yeah, there's not really much to say about that. The story, like the core story content of this patch, is not particularly extensive. I don't think it was as strong as the Caribert storyline.
Well, that
As far
one
as the Archon quest is concerned,
had the mirror
but
reveal.
it's sort of a continuation of that in certain ways. But yeah, it's okay. It's okay. It felt short to me, but maybe that was just my imagination. I don't really know. But yeah, it's a lot of people found it quite moving and quite intriguing, and there's a lot of cans of worms cracked open, and you do find out a reasonable amount about the sort of the mechanics of how the Abyss Traveler is planning on pulling off the shtick that they're undertaking. So yeah, it's very focused on providing more, pardon me, background for what's going on in the background with your sibling. I've seen a lot of people discussing, in fact, the difference in tone in this particular one of depending on who the traveler that you're playing as is.
I've got all the bosses, by the way. I now need ley lines. That
I
on one
need,
of them.
I think, 2 ley lines or something.
Need like 10.
There's quite a bit of apparently tonal difference in the way they react to each other, because in this Dine Sleeve quest, the twins do bump into each other again, like they often do in Dine Sleeve quests, and their sort of the attitude towards each other is quite different in some ways. Like their reactions and that, like it's got more of a vibe for Lumine, because they get some actual face time rather than viewing each other at a distance or having a fight or something, or having a brief discussion which then they both forget, as in the Carabit storyline. They run into each other and they talk a little bit about things in a way that is more permanent because they're not going to instantly forget. So yeah, it's more consequential in that sense. Where's the other one? There. But there's a certain amount of tonal difference. Like, apparently, Ether's got sort of like a when Ether is the traveler, his attitude towards Abyss Princess Lumine is more sort of like, I'm annoyed and disappointed in you for having gone this way. Whereas Illuminaze is actually a lot more sort of impactful in a sense, because it's pretty clear that she's absolutely heartbroken at, like, what has my big brother become? How could it possibly be like this? This isn't fair. So yeah, I don't know how it's carried off in the English, but people are saying that the voice acting supports this sort of interpretation as well in the English. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting difference in that they're becoming sort of their own characters, and they have the the additional factor that when the two of them are talking to each other, they call each other Ether and Lumine, no matter what you might have called your traveler.
So we're
They address
going
each other by name and voiced.
so we're going moving in the Bell and Wise route where they're two distinct characters.
Yeah, they definitely have. It's much subtler than Bell and Wise, obviously, but they do have distinct personalities and attitudes towards each other, and they refer to each other as particular individuals, not just as, you're the other one. So yeah, they're headed in that direction, probably because ultimately, in order for the confrontation between the two to have any kind of impact at all, it was basically necessary that they become consolidated into a character that can be written about
Mm.
and a voice that can be written in. Whereas before that was sort of like Paimon.
Oh no.
But yeah, I haven't listened to new Paimon. Don't know what new Paimon is like.
People are saying she's really good, but they're gonna say she's really good after they're pissed off with the old one anyway. So I don't know. I'll try to make a more informed opinion on the quality once I resume going through story content, which will probably not be until next patch because
Yeah, the story as it currently goes is that Ether is unvoiced, Luminate is unvoiced, Dinesleaf is unvoiced, everybody else is voiced, but those three that are unvoiced are expected to be patched in due course.
yeah.
But yeah, that's where that's currently sitting. I don't think I've got much else to say about Genshin. I don't know a lot of else that's coming up other than that. I'm deeply curious, and sometimes they do Uncle Ruckus no relation, but one of the Hexencircle is named Nicole, and I just can't help but wonder, you know, they wouldn't, would they? Because the Hexencircle is supposed to be quite powerful, and the playful, undignified one is supposed to be Alice, not Nicole. Nicole, I don't think we've really met as such, but I can't help but wonder. I just can't help but wonder if it'll be anything like ZZZ's Nicole.
That would be very funny.
It's like, as far as stations in life go, these two are quite separate.
He shows up with
But,
like stars as hair, covered in rainbows, with all kinds of funky nail polish and a tube top.
I mean, we don't know that she won't. They've made it abundantly clear that the current situation is sort of a schizotech one, where the actual tech level of Teyvat is very, very unclear.
Yeah, well, there's you have Zalonin complaining about the Flame Strider for Natlan, and otherwise it's mostly fairly primitive. And then you've got Fontaine, where they got all kinds of WTF going on over there. Sumeru people are all fairly primitive. Mondstadt people are, and the Liyue people are kind of like middle tech.
That's sort of almost medieval, to be honest. But yeah, well, apparently Nodcry is going to kick it up a notch, and they've got some like really old tech there. I mean, not like it's like something out of Star Wars, more than a fantasy game. But from what I've heard, I haven't seen any actual screenshots or anything. But people are saying that there's some like really clear indicators of bygone civilizations, with a distinctly sci-fi look, as opposed to the more sort of like the dragon stuff is sort of like ancient tech, crystal tech type stuff. But yeah, that's the way they're going. I saw a bunch of people having you whinge about how you can't do this in a fantasy game, and the other people incredulously like, you didn't seriously think that the Ruin Guards belonged in medieval Germany, did you? Like, it's pretty obvious that there's been a lot of shifts in the tech level of the setting over the course of its history. But yeah, we'll have to see where it goes, and when Nodcry comes out, which is sort of like, so Nodcry is going to be the first part that we see of Snezhnaya. Now, it is, from my understanding, is that Nodcry is, in terms of geography, it's part of Snezhnaya. In terms of polity, it's not. Like, it's not under the Tsaritsa, it's an autonomous region.
Yeah.
And the Fatui have a huge amount of clout there, since Ildatore has a large stronghold there. So he's got a lot of influence in the region. But it's not formally Tsaritsa territory, as I understand it, which is why every man and his dog is there, and the Adventurers Guild is based there. I think it is anyway. It's either based there or was founded there, something like that.
The important thing here is more Catherine lore.
Yeah, well, the thing is that a lot of people seem to know a lot of Catherine lore that I haven't seen, based on the discussions online, which makes me think maybe it's just all written in the books that we don't read.
Yeah. I can't kill this thing. Is
there another one?
Oh no, that one was just sitting on the ley line. He wasn't actually part of the ley line. Oh, we must defeat all the Hilichurls.
I'm not going to say anything. Yeah. What's next? What's next on the ledger? Okay, Star Rail. As in terms of Star Rail, like, now, it turns out my phone can run Star Rail, and I don't have too many issues because it's a turn-based game. Apart from the fact that on my phone I don't know how to Like I don't know about you, but I use the alt pause a lot
Mm-hmm.
when I want to inspect the action orders and that sort of thing, and I'm in the middle of doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to do it on my phone. I just don't know how. Because you can alt by tapping the alt button, right? It just fills up and then you tap it. So I don't know how to do the alt pause. That's the biggest problem with playing on the phone that I've found so far. So I didn't actually play all that much. Mostly I just did like the usual stuff, did my farming, did my weekly Divergent Universe, and so forth. I still haven't touched the event, which is sort of a bit frustrating to me because it's nearly over and I haven't started.
Oh, the race
Hopefully there are no
car.
time gates in it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the race car event's super fast. Like it didn't take me any
Okay.
time at all. Mario Kart event zooms right by. I wonder if they timed that dumb thing to come out when Mario Kart did. Well, everybody had kart racing on the brain.
I don't know if that's a good idea or a terrible idea.
I did not like the current Mario Kart at all.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of buzz about it. Like, nobody's like, "Oh, this is the best Mario Kart ever. I'm so excited to play this." Like, that's not something I'm seeing at all from anyone.
The only thing you got to know is as soon as you unlock 13 orphans, is the only car you need.
Is that literally the case, or is this just partisanship because you love you some Ching Shay?
It is literally the case. It has a 1 in 4 chance to roll 1 of 4 buffs, and if you don't get the one you want, you can just restart. But you can hold the best buff it gives you for the entire race if you figure it out. And it is a permanent speed boost and invincibility that refreshes anytime you collide with an obstacle. It is quite OP.
But yeah, I haven't touched that yet. I'll have to get onto it because I'm running out of time. I haven't done Pure Fiction yet either. You said it was pretty much a gimme for you. Is there a follow-up side? Because if there's a follow-up side, it won't be a gimme for me. There's no Hulays anywhere out there. Because every time they put Hulay in, I have issues.
I don't remember what was on one side. I remember one side was significantly weaker than the other, but it didn't matter because Castries and Hyacinth make it go deep on the other side.
One thing I did do when I only had it, my phone available to play, was I went back and did a round of Swarm Disaster. Now I haven't done anything in Swarm Disaster. I just did it on a whim. But go put Hyacinth in, and then go and build old school Abundance Blessings.
Oh no!
And just when your healing is just through the absolute ceiling, just watch how much damage Sunshine Rainbow Fat Pony does.
Oh no!
It's quite hilarious. You can build, because Abundance is all about healing in those original simulated universe ones. You can literally build around Sunshine Rainbow White Pony.
I mean, she is already like a non-insignificant portion of my damage on any team I stick her in. She does a solid like 30%.
Yeah, you can build around increasing that healing ratio that it's going to draw on for the damage.
Yeah.
And it's quite funny.
All right. Finally got all the ley lines done. I need your
Teapot. Anyway, so yeah, I haven't done anything in Star Rail of consequence. That's another thing I'm gonna be trying to get caught up on. If I can get away from freaking work, because I've been spending all my time trying to untangle the myriad issues that are now in place now that I'm back, which is profoundly frustrating and stressful for me. Perhaps not quite to the intensive level of work that RSDL is having to put in this week, because I'm, for the simple reason that I'm refusing to participate. Basically, I could I could have gone into work and helped, but I wouldn't get paid for doing it. So why bother? There is literally no connection between the work I do and how much I get reimbursed. Because I do not work at a family business and I'm on a salary. So if I work 6 days a week, I get paid for 5 days a week. I'm just not interested in being scammed like that. So yeah, I don't know. I kind of want another job, to be honest. I'm getting too oppressed by silly demands and idiotic commentary from some of the higher ups about how overstaffed I allegedly am. When we're barely limping along because we've got like 2 people in today, and one of them can only do a half day because so many people are off sick or off at funerals or whatever. Like, I wish corporate higher ups were forced to live in the real world. I don't know what that would look like. But if they ever had to descend from on high once in a while and do real work, I don't know. They do a lot of stuff that they're convinced is real work, but I think that a lot of the work that sort of like high level corporates do is a product of the existence of high level corporate environments and nothing to do with the actual doing of the work and the production of the product. They're about the coordination of incredibly bloated structures that are bloated in order to make somebody else money.
Incredible amount of bureaucratic nonsense.
I mean, I'm sure it's necessary in quotes, but it's probably necessary for the purposes of maintaining an extant paradigm, not necessary for anybody's job or anybody's product. It is necessary in order to channel the profits to the right place. And that's probably about it. But yeah. It's an eternal frustration of working in the corporate environment. There's not really much to be done about it. I don't think that I can actually cap out my. Can I actually cap out? Oh, I can. I think I can barely cap out weekly XP, just barely.
I think I want to make
But
it.
But it was a deployment week, and that's always hard to make. But yeah. The only thing that I covered this week was the Honkai Star Rail live stream for 3.4 preview live stream. So see, where are my notes? Okay. So 3.4 live stream. Now, there weren't really much in the way of reveals here per se. Most of the stuff we already know. So 3.4, the Trailblaze quest is going to be focused largely around Finon and his past, perhaps the past generally, not really clear. The main exploration area is going to be Ides Elysiae, where Finon is originally from, and the environs there. How that actually plays into the greater story, when so far we know of that place as being basically the boonies. It's not really very clear, but since all of the previews showing Finon show that he's basically become a giant monstrosity, there's gonna have to be some explanation for that. He looks very like the I have to say that the stocks of the theory about Finon being an embryonic Lord Ravager are up in a big way, because he looks an awful lot like a Lord Ravager when he's in his combat stance.
He does look like he ate his Wheaties.
I mean, he looks a lot like Nanook himself, and like I've mentioned several times, the characteristic of Nanook is that he's got golden blood. But yeah, that aside, they showed off his kit and his technique and so on. It's all more or less as I've explained in the past. Some numbers have gone up and down here and there, but by and large, it's structured the same way that I've described in the past. He's a incredibly monstrous on-field solo specialist. So you basically you buff him up with your rest of your team, and then he says, "Put me in, coach," and you put him in. and he keeps all of those buffs and goes to town. Though I think that he's got moves that he can wipe his buffs off in exchange for a colossal quantity of damage as well. So presumably use that last. They gave brief previews of all of the 4 characters who are getting updated kits. By and large, it seems that a lot of the updates are basically to do with scaling and gameplay acceleration for most of them. So, like for Blade and Jingyu, the thing that has basically changed for them is, number one, they've got all new coefficients because they're moving to HP scaling. Because HP scaling really wasn't a thing back when they came out for DPS characters, and now it is. So, yeah, they have basically been reorganized around that. And the thing that they have in common is that most of the other tweaks are to do with allowing their kit to just move faster. Because the problem, like for instance, Blade, was that he just couldn't move fast enough. He couldn't generate enough energy. He couldn't trigger his follow-ups often enough. Like basically he played too slow to do enough damage. So even if they had fixed his coefficients by itself, that wouldn't be enough because he simply wouldn't move often enough for it to be relevant. And so that's been improved. And Jingliu's resource allocation has been improved as well. I haven't heard anything from them that suggests that they're going to be meta per se, but they're definitely going to be competitive in a way that they haven't been for a long time.
Not left in the dust.
In the case of Silverwolf, being able to target the applied weakness implant is going to be the biggest thing for her. Plus her AOE shred on her ultimate, meaning that her ultimate is not like essentially worthless in most contexts like it was before. Those are the main things that are changing with her. It remains to be seen how it will all play out, because when it comes to something like resist shred or defense shred, like the numbers are very important, because I mean it's a space in which you're competing with a variety of other ways of amplifying damage. Although being that she's a generic character in the nihility space gives her a sort of a unique ability to carve out a space in Acheron teams compared to other types of teams. So she'll probably be good in there. Whether or not she'll be competitive with other, like, I doubt she's going to be as competitive as, say, Jiachu, probably. She's probably, they're not going to let her be as powerful in nihility context outside of Acheron teams as, say, Hisselin's when she comes out. But hopefully she will be powerful enough to be used. I think Kafka's is the most interesting in some ways. It all depends, of course, on her coefficients, but she's being made into a sort of like a pseudo buffer in some ways, because the way it was in closed beta, I don't know if that's what's going to persist, is that she amplifies her teammates' attack based on their threshold of effect hit. So it becomes relevant to build nihility characters for effect hit rate. Furthermore, she gets more charges on her follow-up attack. Her skill applies lightning dot when it hits, as well as being able to trigger dots that are already in place. So she can now apply lightning dot to 3 targets at a time. Her follow-up, like I said, her follow-up has more charges. But the thing that was interesting to me that I had not realized is that they are making her ultimate reset her follow-up count. So you can trigger her. Apparently, you can trigger her follow-up now with basically anything. When an ally hits a target, then it will trigger a follow-up. Whereas before it was only basic attacks, which made it really hard to use, because it basically meant you needed to have someone like Pella or someone who's just dedicated to using basic attacks in order to trigger it. But they're making it so it triggers off everything, and then you can just alt and reset the count so that she can keep triggering.
I see.
So yeah, it's another interesting improvement. I expect she's going to synergize quite strongly with Hisselin's. So yeah, we'll have to see how that all pans out. But yeah, I'm interested to see it, and there are rumors floating around, though they're not strong ones as far as I can tell, that there's already evidence of who's up next for upgrades. I can't remember what they were in the last set that I saw. I think Topaz was actually one of them.
Numby. Buff Numby. Make him able to find
Yeah.
treasure chests again.
I don't know if that's going to be the priority for their buffing. I mean, maybe. I don't know.
I don't really know what you could
But,
do to Topaz. She's already like
well, it's
Topaz.
just rumor. It's just rumor tier. It might just be wrong.
Yeah,
I want them to buff Ushin, so
because Topaz is fine. Topaz attacked so many dang times with Numby that that's why she's in all the follow up teams.
now I don't know. It's something that has been bandied about. I don't know that it's.
Like if Topaz
I
did
don't know
one
that.
damage, it wouldn't matter. She would still be in all the follow up teams.
Yeah, I mean, I have my preferences. There's a lot of characters who could use a bit of an uplift to improve their relevance. I suppose the interesting thing at the moment is that for the updated characters, they have updated the Eidolons as well, so that the Eidolons aren't like sort of a sick joke compared to their base kit, the way it would be going forward. Um, but they haven't updated the light cones, the signature light cones, meaning that for updated characters, it's probably quite unlikely that they're going to retain the same best in slot light cone that they had back in the day. Particularly if it's like Jingyu or Blade, where they've had a massive overhaul to the way um, whatchamacallits, uh, their damage is calculated and so on. And if they've got like, oh well, the original light cone was attack based, but now they're HP scalar. Well, they're going to be up shit's creek, aren't they? So yeah, it's interesting that they've left that. I don't know if they'll follow up on that at some point. Maybe that's harder to follow up on because they've introduced a function to allow you to switch between old version and new version, which is great. But if you do, is there going to be any way to actually implement that for a light cone? A light cone is very different to a character in terms of the coding structure. So it's a little bit more unclear whether or not that's even practical for them to do.
It'll be like you'd have to turn it into a 2-for-1, but then you can equip it on other characters, so you run into shoes.
Yeah, you don't want to make it too good. But I mean, like at present, best in slot for Mighty and Jingliu and
It's
Blade
sun.
will all be Mighty's light cone.
Oh, I thought it was Sunshine Rainbow Fat Ponies Flight Cone.
Well, I mean they're all the destruction characters, so yeah, it's hard to say where that's all going to come down in the end. Um, yeah. Anyway, so those kits are more or less what we expected, but they're not out yet, so we don't know exactly how it's going to go. But they're all going to debut together in 3.4. Also, they're making an outfit for Firefly, which I mean, she's probably on balance the most popular character because most people got all dewy-eyed over her in Penacony, and
They did Schiller super hard.
yeah. Well, there's a thing in Hoyo parlance, internal parlance, called push characters, and they select like one character every few patches as a push character, and that's the character that they're going to put the dominant force of marketing behind. So Firefly was a push character, and Acheron was a push character, and basically none of the other Penacony characters were. And likewise, Phynon is a push character, and Casterus is a push character, and none of the other characters are push characters. But you can tell, right, by looking, that those ones are what those characters are.
Mm-hmm.
That they actually designate this internally, that there is going to be a couple of limiteds per version that have a huge amount of impetus behind marketing them compared to the others. And it's probably just a budget allocation thing. Like, you've got to put your money somewhere, and so you pick the ones that you think are going to be really marketable. And if you've never seen Finon's animations, like, he's got the budget of like 4 characters worth of animation budget in his character. It's pretty off the chain. They put a lot of time into him compared to other characters. Anyway, so Firefly's outfit, most people are annoyed. They think it should be free, but people always think things should be free. I don't think that this is much different to the fact that you have to pay to get Ellen Jo's school uniform, because it's a school uniform. Most of the change you can only see when Firefly is being Firefly. If Firefly is being Sam, you can't tell that she's got a costume on, and Firefly is nearly always Sam. You can tell, like, Sam has more of a sort of like a springtime color palette to him, like the black parts are now green and so on. But it's a very subtle change.
He's
It's
happy
not really
Sam.
worth commenting on. But yeah, the reality is that they can charge for this because Firefly fans are rabid, and they will buy anything for their girl.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much a surefire thing. But they're following the exact same pattern that they are in ZZZ, where you've got like 1350 during patch, 1650 after patch, or whatever it is.
Yeah, I think Astra's is really the only one. Maybe your girlfriend has a pretty nice one. Those two are the only ones that are really worth grabbing. But yeah,
The thing that's worth commenting about Yishen's one is that they actually recorded different sound effects for it.
oh, did they?
Yeah. So most characters will have a set of sound effects, which is whatever their clothing does. If they've got particularly flowy clothing, then their clothing will make sound effects when they walk. There's the particular exception is that when you put the outfit on for Yishen, it switches to that outfit's sound effects, and that outfit doesn't have flowy flappy things, right?
Mm-hmm.
What they have instead in the sound effect library for that outfit is you can hear her hose rubbing against each other as they walk.
What?
Yeah, somebody thought very carefully about Yishen's legs
Well, that
for a
tracks.
great deal of time, and then invested a lot of money in make sure it sounded just right.
That tracks.
It does. Anyway, so that's that. Firefly's going to have an outfit. I actually like her base outfit. I don't have any particular impulse to get the school uniform one. If it had a really elaborate outfit, which then spilled over into elaborate modifications for Sam, I would have thought about it, because I do use Firefly quite a lot.
Really
But
want to put Sam in a frilly dress.
there's lots of memes going around about that, and they are hilarious. But yeah. Anyway, so banner announcements. So we've got the cursed banners again, everybody's favorite,
Oh boy.
where nobody has enough Stellar Jade, and nobody ever will. It's Whale Central. I hope you're ready to whale. So phase 1, main banner is Finon. Obviously he's the push character for this part of the cycle. He's crazy crazy animations. And the other side is a triple banner, everybody's favorite, Tribby Sunday Sparkle. So it's the Harmony special, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't see many people pulling on Sunday. He's sort of, his star is not ascendant right now. Like, Sunday seems to me like a character that will come and go in terms of his importance quite regularly. He's never going to become useless, because,
I mean,
on demand, put them at the top of the action stack is just so powerful.
he is on at least one of my in-game teams every single time it rolls around.
Yeah, he's not the BIS for most team comps except for the Aglaya team. Whereas without him, the Aglaya team doesn't function.
The Aglaya team needs 3 very specific supports for Aglaya.
He's my second stringer for pretty much every one of my generalist teams. So he's my second stringer for Castorus, and he's my second stringer for the Herta, depending on where Tribby goes. because Trippy's probably my most built harmony. She rolled better than my other harmonies, who all rolled terribly. But yeah, so my Sunday, while I don't have Aglaya, so I don't have anybody for whom he's really bis, he still does work because he can slot nicely into a lot of teams. Even if you aren't benefiting from the Memo Sprite thing, and I think that looms large in a lot of people's minds, that they think of him as, oh, it's a Memo Sprite character because he gives big buffs to Memo Sprite characters. And that's true, he does. But that you can't sleep on the fact that he can move you to the top of the action stack. I'm sorry.
I mean, he's
You
brought
can
you.
basically, if you decide you're going to build him for speed, then you can basically use him as another character's speed and have that character beat the entire farm on their damage stats.
Yeah, and his crit damage buff ain't nothing to sneeze at. That's what I usually use him for.
So yeah, he's good, but he's not standout. But I feel like he'll be back, and he'll probably be back repeatedly as Remembrance character comes out that benefits a lot from him, or a character comes out that benefits a lot from having somebody accelerate them, dedicated to accelerating them. Like I think he'll probably come and go in importance. I expect that tier lists will flush him down the toilet, and so people take a really bad attitude towards him because I doubt that a character who's generically good is going to be BIS for lots of teams, and that's going to cause them to drop in the rankings. But in terms of practical use, he's a pretty good utility knife. Sparkle is being brought back obviously for Archer because Archer just trades on having 1 million skill points available. So that's why Sparkle's back, I think. I'm gonna be tempted to pull on Sparkle, but I don't think I will. I'll wait for the new version of Sparkle that's rumored to come out in the next planet. Because I don't really want to build a skill point specialist team. Although everybody's getting Archer, and so it's kind of tempting in its own way. And there's always Chingche. She's always there, waiting to betray you.
You gonna play
Because
the
that's how she
Mahjong
does.
team?
But yeah. So Tribby Sunday Sparkle, rough ban on that one.
Kirby is the last utilitarian character I could reasonably get for my account without having to build an entire new archetype. But even
Tribby's
then,
pretty good in the sense that she slots into basically any archetype, though she works much, much better in AoE archetypes than anything else.
yeah, which is the weakest part of my account, so it would be a utilitarian pool. I don't really want Tribby, but don't.
I mean, it's not like she's a necessary character. She's just like, like a lot of harmonies in every team, there's going to be the support that is better by degrees than the other one. And you can play that game forever. Like Siraja is going to be a premium harmony as well.
Yeah, I don't.
There's going to be teams in which she's better and teams in which she's not.
This isn't a scenario where I'd saved up for the multi banner ahead of time. I'm pretty broke after the cat. I'm not out, but going for Tribby would be a gamble. I wouldn't be guaranteed, and I would be broke afterwards, like totally broke.
I think it's a gamble worth contemplating. I don't think that it's like, oh, you absolutely have to pull for Tribby, but it's definitely worth contemplating what you're going to get out of doing so, because I think she is a very, very good support, especially if the team benefits from having lots of HP on it, and she doesn't need her signature light cone to be effective. It's definitely beneficial to her, but Dance is also beneficial to her because it's beneficial to everybody. But yeah, phase 2. Oh well, the 4 stars in that banner also. Tingyun March 7th Yukong. I'm interested to see that now they're trotting out Yukong all the time, whereas they refused to before because they're afraid of what would happen if she became standard to have her at C6, at E6. So now they're bringing her out all the time because she's been power crept enough that it's not going to upset the apple cart. But I don't know. Did I finish my Tingyun? I finished March 7th ages ago. But yeah, they really badly need to release more 4 stars. They're getting this feedback from every quarter. I don't know why they're so reluctant to. The other games do. ZZZ does it. Genshin does it. Staros, for some reason, is just allergic to 4 stars. I think that they're probably paranoid about counter messaging their enormous cast or something like, oh well, this character's not important because they've only got this star rating type of thing,
But Star
which I think
Rail
is really
had a
irrational
beat
of them.
had a beat patch where they haven't released a new 5-star for the whole cycle.
I feel like there might have been one. No, there've been a couple where they released one new 5-star
Okay.
as opposed to two. The norm is two, but like they're releasing one this patch and they released one in the Rapper patch,
Okay.
and nobody pulled for Rapper. More fool them because she does work. Um, did they rerun Rapper? I don't even remember.
I don't think they've rerun Rappa.
Anyway, phase two. Phase two is a triple banner, just one triple banner, but it's still a triple banner. Firefly, Qingniu, Blade. So obviously, Firefly's being run so that people can get her if they don't have the outfit. So not doing the Hanya outfit thing, not Hanya, the Shinha outfit thing.
Oh, release Shenhe, no rerun. Nobody buys the outfit.
Yeah, because nobody's got Shinha. So yeah, so Firefly is running in the same patch that she gets her outfit. So people who want her outfit for her but don't have her can get her as well. And Jinglu and Blade are obviously rerunning because they're getting their characters updated. They probably just decided arbitrarily, we'll just do it. We'll pull the trigger and do it. I don't think anybody's going to pull on the Blade banner unless they've just been the fangirl who's just been jonesing for more Blade forever. Because I think most people would be waiting to be spooked by Blade.
Yeah, it's
Since he's a
yep.
50-50 loss now.
This ain't Pinecone. Premium currency is too valuable to throw on stuff you can do.
Well, I mean, they are if you're playing the game. If you're just playing Husbando game,
I
where
suppose
you
so.
are what you want to do and is build Blade, get him to C6, get him to S6, and then just use him in every event. And there are people like this, then they'll go to town. But yeah, and the 4 stars for that banner, Hanya links Luca.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if I'll pull on it. Firefly has some really powerful eidolons. I'm sort of tempted because there's one that when she's in Sam mode, she just doesn't spend skill points anymore. And running into skill point debt is a major problem for Firefly teams because Firefly moves fast. Like you build her for speed so that she can act like 4 times per DPS phase, but that causes you to dump skill points really fast. And within that, even if your runway is functioning correctly and properly speed tuned, she's going to probably burn through her buff and needs to re-up it while Firefly is still in that mode. And so will Tingyun because hers is also 3. So and if you're using Lingsha, which you will be, she's probably going to have to spend a skill point during that cycle as well. So usually when they all line up, you end up going into skill point debt. So having the ability to just not spend skill points when she's in her burst phase would be really powerful. It's really tempting. I'm gonna have to think about it. Because it will just make her that much more usable because you can just spam your most powerful ability with Wild Abandon, and it will become even more valuable if they then decide that they're going to give her a little bit of a tune-up because they think she's hit a ceiling too early or something. Because there are a lot of people suspecting that Super Break doesn't have much longevity to it as a archetype. They think it's not designed robustly enough for that, but we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, they are adding 8 new 4-star light cones to the Nameless Honor pick list, which is good because everybody picks the Ching Choi one. I can't say I blame them. That's really powerful, but
That the Erudition
yeah, so
one?
they're adding a whole bunch of new ones. Huh?
That the Erudition one?
Yeah, it's the one that just gives you flat damage based on your energy cap.
Oh yeah, the one my Jade is using. That one.
Yeah, everybody picks that one, sometimes multiple times. I've picked some of the others for variation, but usually I regret it. It's like, it would have been better if I just started building another Erudition one. Because that one's universally good. It just gives you damage. Don't worry about anything else. Give you damage.
I think I S5 mine whenever I bought the last battle pass that I bought.
Next, they are rerunning Origami Bird Clash. Basically, it's of course the tuned up one. So it's going to have more characters, it's going to have more abilities, it's going to have more items and things and new mechanics, but by and large it's going to be Origami Bird Clash again. So
The
for
one
people who like match 3, I guess you can do more match 3.
more Pom Pom Panic.
Pro's coming out. Gift of Odyssey's back. It's back every patch. It's not really an announcement, but they mention it every time. But I mean, a free 10 pull's a free 10 pull. What are you gonna do? Realm of the Strange, as usual. They are releasing a new Wind Ascension material for Stagnant Shadow. So presumably that's going to be Seraja's one. I don't think that there are any characters currently in the game, or I mean, currently announced other than her that are potentials for that. I think it's probably just her at this stage. 2 new planet ornaments. Don't know exactly whose they will be. Probably, I don't know, Finon and Hizzlins is what the theming looks like, but I can't really tell by looking. What else did they announce? They announced a bunch of stuff about expos and that, including Anime Expo in, where is it, Los Angeles?
Yeah.
And for some reason, they thought it was worth bragging about the fact that it was going to be featuring Trash Taste.
Oh no.
Why are they so important? Are they really really legit big? And I just don't know
Oh,
about them because I don't watch idiots like that.
yeah, they just got stupid fat. I don't. There's no real reason either. They're just a bunch of really, really old, uh, YouTube anime people. Like, and they don't because Trash Taste has eaten their lives. It's a Game Grump situation, right? Where JonTron like used to be good until Game Grumps ate his life, and then as soon as he quit, he was back on the ball again. And while he was doing Game Grumps, it was just like, yeah, I watched you because you had interesting content, but now you're just doing this stupid live stream thing. And it's kind of that way for like Giga. Like, oh, I watched you because you did all this interesting crap and all your videos were funny, but now you're just doing this live stream crap, and your content is subpar at best while it's going on. And the other two, I don't have a clue. They've been around forever, but I don't know who they are. But
Anyway, I don't know why they thought that was worth discussing on a live stream preview. Oh boy, we're gonna have Trash Taste. Maybe they have people that really like them, or maybe it's just like, well, technically he's a voice actor, so
yeah, if random minder number 37 gets you a voice acting credit, I suppose. Random
I
Bellabog
heard
minder number 37.
I heard what's her name? Emily is in ZZZ.
Possible.
That she's Dinah apparently. Remember her?
Yeah, I know.
Crazy girl?
Yeah, I know her.
Yeah. Apparently that's Emily.
I see.
I didn't know about that.
I
I don't
didn't. I
I'm
didn't put
English,
two.
so
I didn't put two and two together because I've honestly forgotten what Annalie sounds like, and I
well
always.
the thing is that nobody in my opinion, I'm surprised anybody can remember what Emily sounds like, because to me, she has the most generic American woman voice of anybody I've ever heard. Like, there's just nothing characteristic about it whatsoever. It's a perfectly generic American woman.
The only thing I ever remember with Annalie is her singing voice anyway, and that's different from her talkie voice.
Yeah, I never really listened to her singing stuff very much. I've heard it a few times, but it's okay. Like she's got a reasonable singing voice. I guess I didn't feel it was especially memorable. It was solid.
She was making progress with her singing career. Like she was able to release solo albums and even got her fan dub of the of for an English version of the what you call it, the No Game No Life song put into the show for the English version as the opening. Like she was making progress on it. I don't know why she didn't just stick with that. She seemed to be on a roll with it.
Yeah, well, she got streamer brain rot, I guess.
Yeah.
Decided to be a VTuber instead. I mean, she got signed. I hope she's happy. I don't know. But anyway, moving on. Where were we at? Okay, at this point, a red summoning circle appeared around Albert, and he got sucked off of that stage and onto another stage. So then they did the next live stream. So this one is introducing that they're doing alongside the Trailblaze mission for 5.4. They're also doing a Trailblaze continuance in the same patch, which is Sweet Dreams and the Holy Grail War. So basically, old OT is like, well, we kind of screwed the pooch with the whole Charmony festival, so we need to have another sort of like big entertainment spectacular to try and shore up Penacony's reputation as the entertainment capital of the galaxy. And from somewhere unexplained in this particular preview, he got the idea about the Holy Grail War. So he's basically engineered it into a big entertainment spectacular of sorts, and he's invited key players to participate as the Magi. So he's got Trailblazer participating on behalf of the Astral Express. He's got Aventrine participating on behalf of the IPC, Robin on behalf of sort of like the top side of Penacony. Boothill is participating on behalf of Micah, who was invited to represent Dreamflux Reef. And, you know, there's at least another 3 masters that haven't been revealed yet. The characters playing servants are the Saber that we're all familiar with, the Archer we're all familiar with, the Lancer we're all familiar with, but the other 3, the description sounded like the other 3 are going to be lore characters from Star Rail, rather than other servants. Though it was a little bit vague about what would constitute that. It's not like the Star Rail universe doesn't have people who can sort of compete on par with servants. In terms of power level, servants are pretty at home in the Honkai verse, compared to in the Nasu verse, where they're pretty high tier heavy hitters for the most part. So like the likes of Acheron would probably work perfectly well as a servant, on account of her being an emanator and all. And the Herta would make a perfectly fine caster. She even looks the part because she's constantly trying to convince everybody what she does is actually magic. But yeah, so that's basically all they talked about story wise, because most of the runtime in the preview was dedicated to sort of like introducing people wholly unfamiliar with the concept of the Holy Grail War to basic Holy Grail War concept.
There seems to be a very split contingent, as expected, with this. Of the people that know what Fate is are all really hyped for it, and the people that don't are just like, "What is this garbage?" On YouTube.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that mostly people who don't know Fate simply won't be too concerned. Like they'll play it as content. It's the people that is the loud anti contingent is just people who particularly dislike the Nasuverse, and most of them don't dislike it because of anything particular about it. They dislike it because they think that those resources should have been allocated elsewhere. But based on the fact that they're deploying a full-scale Trailblaze continuance in the same patch as a Trailblaze mission says to me that these resources were allocated a long time ago, and this has been developed over a long period of time.
Mm-hmm.
So this has just been in the works for a long time. You can be as bitter as you want about it; it won't matter. And the Nasuverse has a mountain of fans, so it's going to be fine. They're not going to get their way. They're just going to, be mad in the corner the way they always are. They're mad about everything.
There does seem to be a third contingent that is excited but mad because Rin is not in it.
How could she be in it?
I don't know, but they seem particularly miffed about this.
What's more, like, number one, how could she be in it? Number two, there is no reason to believe she's not either.
I don't.
She easily could be.
I don't know, but there is a contingent on YouTube I've seen of people whinging about it. Or at least their thumbnails have been whinging about it. I haven't actually clicked the videos.
I don't get such videos in my feed, so I'm fine with that.
Well, I get firefighters tripping on fire hoses in my feed, and it's an eclectic mix right now.
Yeah. So anyway, so they previewed the kits for Saber and Archer, and by and large, they're the same as the preview ones I've discussed previously from CBT, and they operate roughly in the same way. Which is to say that they're quite competently structured. They're quite simple. They don't interlock in an integral way with any meta team, though they can, like you can put Archer in a follow-up team. You can put him in the skill points team. You can basically use them as I get the impression that both of them were designed first and foremost to be how do I say, baby's first damage dealer for people who will start the game as a result of hearing about the collab,
Mm-hmm.
and that they're very self-contained and they support their own mechanics. Like, they don't support them as much as having the optimal supports for those mechanics would, but they do support their own mechanic. So yeah, I mean, there's going to be optimal ones. Like, probably like on balance, you would want to use Woe to support Saber, simply because positive energy is better than no energy.
21%
Although I don't
energy
think
ain't nothing.
I, is it 21%? I don't know
Yeah,
how it works.
it's like 19 or
Um,
21% at max rank.
yeah, I mean, so I mean, it ain't nothing. It ain't nothing. It's although I'd feel like batterying is sort of like underserved in the game generally. Like, all you've got is the roadkill fox and Wopo and Sunday, who's usually busy doing something else because he's not a reliable battery. But anyway, the by and large they work independently, and you can support them in generic ways. So, like, obviously they are running what should I call it, Sparkle, because Sparkle's like strongly indicated as a great supporter for Archer. But they're running two other supports as well, which will both work perfectly well. So yeah, it seems to me like they have structured these banners and these characters around. Okay, so you're new to Star Rail. You have seen a fan favorite character from a franchise you already like present here, and you want to get them. Okay, so you can get them, and now here are a bunch of other characters you can aim towards that are going to be able to support them. And they don't require you to have deep knowledge of the meta or three other premium characters in order to make them operate. They just sort of stand alone, and you can shore up whatever's lagging behind in your team as you get used to playing. So that seems to be the direction they're going there. Of course, as we already know, Archer is going to be free. Everybody's going to get Archer, and the banners for them and their signature light cones are going up. And what they have said about those banners is they have not determined an ending to them, and the current intention is to run them at least until the end of 3.6.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I would like to tap Saber just to get her. Don't need her. I'm hoping that if like most of her energy region is locked behind her life cone or something, I can make it up with Wobo. But
Well, I mean, you've got 3 full versions. There's 120 days to
yeah,
scrape together a few jades to throw at her.
yeah, that's the other reason I'm so hesitant to pull on Tribby, but I'm still thinking about it is because it's that stupid triple banner. I can't do allocated pulls because the pity won't carry over.
Yeah. So you can just assemble whatever you want over the course of 3 versions, a third of a year or whatever.
Yeah,
um,
that's like 18 weeks, so we got time.
so yeah, well, whatever you can scrape up. There's no big hurry. But yeah, she's never going to be meta. You would pull on Saber for love. I think the only reason that you would that she might move into the meta at all would be as if they at some point in the future just happen to release some supporting character that happens to interlock with her really well. But I think she's not been designed for that. She's been designed to basically be a standalone, which is what you would more or less expect from a collab.
Like they accidentally release an energy refund character without thinking of it on using ultimate that gives like 40% back. That might break her.
Anyway, in addition to this, this is one that some people are happy about and some people are mad about, and frankly it's something that hasn't existed for any other character, so being mad about it, it's just being petty if you ask me, because you don't need to take advantage of it, nor do you need to ignore it. You can do whatever you want. But basically they're adding an extra thing for this banner where um if during 3.4, specifically just 3.4, if during 3.4 you pull 200 times on the regular gold ticket banners, which, you know, a lot of whales will, and probably some really unlucky people like me who are just they never seem to get what they want, but want to pull on a few things on these banners. If you pull 200 gold tickets worth on 3.4 banners, you will just get Archer's signature light cone.
I see.
There are a lot of people who are super mad about this. It's, oh, this is pandering to whales. This is just trying to. No, there's nobody's gonna want to spend 200 tickets on these banners. These banners are crap. Blah 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 blah. I was saving all of my Stellar Jade for Hisselins or Serajura, whichever. Like, all of those are choices that you make. Like, the idea that you can get a signature light cone just by spending on the banner is not something that has existed anywhere else before. So being mad about it seems churlish. Like, sure, you might not have the tickets to do that, but well, not having resources in a gacha game is nothing new. You should be used to that by now. Everybody does it, unless they're a hyper whale. Sometimes you don't have the resources to pull for something you want. It just happens sometimes. Get a grip. Well, it happens everywhere but Pinecone. I guess it doesn't happen in Pinecone. Long may it rest in peace. But
Still mad.
never forget. But yeah, so that's a thing. That's a thing. I mean, I'm perfectly all right with that. If I decide to just go hog wild, maybe I'll get it. Who even knows? Though I don't really know. If I decided to go for Eidolons on Firefly, maybe, or maybe Eidolons and his signature light cone or something, if I really want to make her relevant. She's not really one of my favorite characters. I like using her and I like her, but she's not really in on my list of like top waifu or anything like that. Anyway, so that's the Trailblaze continuance and the banners and the bonuses. In parallel with this, they're also running a large-scale combat event for Fate Stay Night, which is... their description was very Hoyoverse, so I didn't understand anything. But basically, it's a Holy Grail War-themed combat event where you do combat things and you collect servant-themed buffs and Noble Phantasm-themed curios, and you use command spells to get buffs, and you can manipulate the corruption level of the Holy Grail to increase your power at the expense of making the enemies more powerful as well, that kind of thing. It's not connected to the story in any way, apparently. It's just running in parallel as a combat event for people who don't give a toss about the story, can just do the combat event and get Stellar Jade. But it is thematically designed around the Holy Grail. But it's going to be probably the big event for the patch. They're also including, in support of my earlier thesis, they're including a special noob mode for this event to enable you to be able to participate fully in it, even if your account is fresh and has bugger all. They're offering very generous rental characters and sort of like simplified combat stages for people who just don't have a grasp of how the game works yet. So the whole thing just screams, we want people who are coming here from Fate fandom to be able to immediately participate and make progress. So yeah, people with underdeveloped accounts will be able to just jump straight in and participate in that combat event. But yeah, that's pretty much the long and short of it as far as that live stream was concerned. Trailer should be up now, so you'll be able to see the previews of the characters and the retardedly elaborate animations that Finon has in his combat form and so on and so forth. There are a lot of things that are sort of unresolved fundamental issues that I will continue to spew all over the feedback forums. But they did announce that there is going to be a story recap mode introduced to the game, but it's not going to be a full rewind of exploratory areas and combat. So you won't be able to redo boss fights, you won't be able to redo special exploration areas and that sort of thing. Which is disappointing. I wanted a more thoroughgoing New Game Plus version, but I'll take what I can get in the short term. I'll continue to argue for the whole experience, but supposedly it will allow you to redo all of like the conversational stuff and the cutscenes and all that stuff. You'll be able to go through again. We'll see how it deploys, but that's not scheduled until 3.6, I think, is when they're planning to go live with that. Conversely, the function to skip the story entirely is going to come out in 3.4, because that's everybody's priority in a JRPG, right? Not seeing any of the story. Yeah, that's what we're here. That's why we play JRPGs, right?
There is a silver lining to that. It's only a potential silver lining, and it may not pan out this way. That the people that are really fired up about skipping the story are probably the ones that are the ones least likely to pay attention to begin with. So you don't have to write as hard for the least common denominator if the skip button's there.
That is a very optimistic viewpoint, and I want to believe that you're true.
I'm telling you, it's a possibility, but it is not one I would put my money on.
I want to believe it would go that way, but I don't think that it would. I think that you might see a bit of a turn in attitude eventually. I mean, the story is the marketing for a lot of these characters. Like, there is absolutely no way people would go rabid for Firefly without the story. Like the sort of the moe girl next door character who's got a history with your character and who just wants to be friends and hang out with you and go on dates. Like that's like the direct manipulation of the audience in order to get gacha resources out of you. Like that's that's what they're doing. If you skip the story, how does Firefly latch on in any way? Like, she's already going to be an acquired taste. There's a lot of people that'll just do nothing for.
Yeah.
But if you then just like people don't see her at all because they just skip through the story, like where's the marketing going to be?
Yeah, I don't know how you.
And I don't know the fear that I have is the converse of your suggestion, though, that they will try less hard at the story simply because the fact that they know people are skipping it is demotivating to them.
Yeah, that's the other possibility. They can see the number of people skipping, probably.
But yeah, I don't know. I hope that it doesn't have any detrimental effect on the game. Frankly, I just don't understand why you would even bother to capitulate. Like, I can't imagine anybody has played this long and is going to stop playing because there's story. I can't imagine losing customers over this in any big way. I kind of just want them to suffer. So, yeah, I don't know. That is the way it is. I don't have to like it, but it is the way it is.
I feel like I'm stuck in Star Rail right now, waiting for a character that isn't a healer to attach to. Because the only characters I'm really attached right now are 2 healers and Numby.
Good old Bobo.
So it's I have trouble getting really, really into the stuff going on in Star Rail, just because I haven't been able to attach to any of the characters very well, aside from two pets and a Wowo. Hyacine's also there. She almost cuts it, but she's also still a healer. I'm really hoping they put out a main DPS I can latch onto.
I guess I don't really see the class as meaning anything in that context. but especially because they don't have the benefits of the on-field environment that Genshin does. Like
Yeah.
you don't really like people talk about it as though you do, but you don't really main a character in Star Rail. You sort of can't
No,
because
but
you need a full deck to support them.
yeah. Speaking of, um, I put my cipher up in place of my topaz for a bit. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to pull her out.
I've tried using her, but I don't have any teams in which she performs particularly well.
Yeah, she needs people to help her stack that damage up. She needs basically she needs follow up team or Necron team, and that's about all she's gonna
Yeah,
work in.
yeah. So I don't usually like I don't feel like my Acheron team is particularly lacking because I usually trade on Black Swan's defense shred to make Acheron tick. So I've got basically I just stack defense shred, stack Pala's defense shred, and Black Swan's defense shred, and that's normally the way I operate that team. So occasionally I might just stick stick Fugan instead for flavor. That doesn't really make much difference. And then put in. It doesn't really matter whether I use Ling Shao or Sunshine Rainbow Fat Pony. Both of
Oh,
them stack tons of debuffs. So
about to say,
um,
you know who I found has been amazing on the Acheron team is the Fat Pony. If you've got the light cone for the Fat Pony, holy crap, debuffs everywhere.
yep, she's certainly good at it. It's just basically just a matter of pace and whether or not you've got the skill points to support it. Since it seems to work better if you're just spending lots of skill points all the time to keep the damage juiced. But yeah, Cypher is one that I think I would need to toy with a great deal to find out how best to employ her in my lineups. And there's not really much point in me investing that time since I don't have her. So I doubt that I'll get much use out of borrowing her. Mostly, I'm still borrowing mainly your Jade. Occasionally, I will borrow your Hyacine if I have only that slot left over, only the sustained slot left over. Even though I have my own Hyacine, I can just I'll borrow yours because it's going to work out the same way, give or take. Your own stats are better, but usually they're not better by enough that it's going to make a huge difference in my runtime.
No,
So
as long as your Hyacinth has hit the break point, it's very small upgrades after that. Mine will probably do about 20%, 25% more damage just because of her crit damage. About it.
yeah, it doesn't matter whose I use though. It does for me. It doesn't do anywhere near that much damage. Like I don't really have a good place to measure it because pretty much good old Casterus can wipe out the mechanical bird in one shot. So
Yeah,
it's not really.
Castris can just delete anything if Pony's on the team because Ika takes offense to any of his teammates taking damage, and he doesn't really care where that comes from. And this means Castris is going to get Turbo Juice.
Anyway, I don't have anything else to say about that.
Right. So that's all the Hoyo stuff. Anything else for your week?
Ari bought me DJ Max, and I haven't fired it up yet.
Oh yeah, I got that for you and Fern, and I think my sister too, because it was on deep discount. Because every time they put out an expansion pack is the time to scoop it, because it goes on like 80+% off.
Are there any other packs that the songs are just so good that you have to buy them?
Uh, I like Extension 5's headliner songs a lot. I like Blue Archive has a pretty good selection of all the Blue Archive songs.
I already bought that one because you basically obliged me to by buying me the game.
The Falcon pack, about half of the songs in there are pretty good. I like a good. I can't remember if
Does it have the chicken one in it?
No, it doesn't have Clucking Chickens. The Clucking Chickens battle theme is not in the Falcon pack.
Missed opportunity, if you ask me.
They could have made an SC track on that. But yeah, Extension 1 and 2 both have a selection of good songs. Any of the extensions or the proper expansion packs, they have a very eclectic mix, so not all of them are going to be to your taste, but you'll probably find a few in there that are good. And basically, anytime you see by Pierre Blanche or Cranky, run. Don't try that song. But everything else, pretty good chance of it working out. For the other in-house artists that show up in the expansions, if there's a lot of stuff by Third Coast, if it's the SoFly stuff, I like that. If it's just JC on the mic with the rap, you're getting hit or miss, and JC will rap in the background of anything. He will rap in the most gangster rap song possible. He will rap in metal. He will rap in the most girly anime song you've ever seen in your life. But JC will work for probably pennies, so they just get him to rap in everything. So that's not going to tell you a whole lot. But if it's Third Coast in general, it's at least got SoFly in it. And she's extension 1 and 2 are worth looking at. They usually go on the deepest discount. I like Extension 5 a lot for its headliners. I think it does really, really well with its headline songs. Extension 3 has some good songs in there too. 4, I'm not a fan of most of the songs in it. It gets really weird in that one. One of the Liberties has one of my favorite music videos that's just fail being failed to poor play. And any pack that has Lena songs in it, I'll show for because I like Lena. But most of her stuff got ported to the base game actually when they merged the Easy 2 on pack with it, or one of the Easy 2 on packs with it, so you don't have to pay for her stuff anymore. Just don't accidentally buy any soundtracks or any of the weird extra crap they put in the Mega DLC bundle. And you should be good.
I
The
won't get time to play it. Learning a new rhythm game takes me a long time.
DJ Maxx is thankfully very accommodating in that it has, you can start at 4 button if you want. I started at 4 button. And then slowly work your star rake up at that, and then switch to 6 button. And then switching from 4 to 6 is a bit of a hurdle because you gotta start associating colors with your with the middle button on the controller. But you can work your way up there, and if you do multiplayer, everybody picks their own button and difficulty for the song that the host picked. So, and the only thing that matters for score in that game is how accurate you are. It doesn't care about combo. It doesn't care about. It only cares how accurate you were with each note. And the maximum score for every song is like 100,000 or something, or 1 million. And how close you are to 100% of a perfect play is how many points you get. So I like it just because of how accessible it is and how modular the difficulty is for any given song. Like you can look at, and once you can do 6 button, you can flip between 4 and 6 button. If a song doesn't have a good selection of star ratings for the difficulty you're looking for on one, you can check the other. Unless it's like Trip or something. That track only has like 5 stars at its hardest difficulty on 8 button. But most of them have a pretty good mix. So yeah, it's worth poking at. I think I like DJ Maxx a lot. It's a lot of good fun. I love the deep lore of play clear and fails adventures and how things go in the universe.
In booba size.
Yeah, plays size. The new song that has her with her enhanced size is they're going to a party and the main villain is there and he invites Play to dance with her and she's all blushy faced and you see all the other main girls behind her and Lena's like plays surrogate mom, so she's like, oh, that's cute. That fails like being mischievous and giggling, and Clear for some reason is just really, really mad that he picked Play instead of her. And is bouncing up and down with an angry face. It's really cute. But yeah. Do not have the latest expansion because the latest expansion, when it's released, doesn't go on sale, and this just follows the model. They removed a song from the latest expansion, so it's only 19 songs because of the backlash from Korean VTuber drama that I'm not privy to, nor do I care about.
I'm incredulous
Incredulous.
that they have to make a modification to a video game DLC because of VTuber drama.
Yeah, it's the thing with East Asian like VTuber drama and stuff like that. It's just like, you know, I don't know how much of this is actually legitimate and how much of it is just you guys being uh Asian idiots that are just acting as a unit. It didn't help that when they tried to explain it on the forums, they were just the most toxic people possible. But that game is like super esports in Korea. So for the 6-button SC difficulty. Oh, that is a warning. If you for some reason decide to Wuju Mountain and get really good at the game, don't pick any SC tracks. There's no official designation for what SC stands for, but the community calls it super crazy, and it cannot be played with a controller. That's the quirk with SCs. A 1-star SC song is equivalent to about a 14-star normal, which is insane, and it will have button combos that cannot be done on a controller.
Even your one with extra mappable buttons.
It probably could if you did it that way, but it would be, well, no, actually, there's not enough extra mappable buttons. Just because the patterns your hands will have to hit, because you'll have to like hold triangle and press square and circle while triangle's being held, and you can't really do that if you're holding the controller in any kind of sane way. But yeah,
I see.
I'll post in live show chat the most adorable bit from the new songs I was talking about. There's Clear getting mad that Play got picked dance with the main villain character for this arc, and there is Lena participating in Take Your Daughter to Dance Practice Day. The other thing is these music videos have no budget, like at all. Like NeoWiz is not a rich company. The big frontline song will get some budget, and that's from the headliner song this time. And everything else is like the Taco Bell robots, or the most experimental animation you could think of, or we hired a third party to do it. Some third party YouTuber will do it.
Rotoscoping.
Yeah, Trip's a trip. I think that's in the Classic Y pack. If you really want to experience that on your own.
Not really.
I actually like the Classic Y pack a lot. It's a lot of very very girly songs, but they're all really cute. So it's fine. And the oh, what you call it? I'm gonna brain fart. I was going somewhere, and the train just went right off the rails. Anyway, oh yeah, there is one artist you will see called Nein with weird capitalization. If you see him, there is exactly a 50% chance whatever song you're about to play is hard metal, and another 50% chance it is the girliest pop song you've ever heard. He doesn't have an in between. So that's always fun whenever he puts out a new song. Sometimes you can tell from the thumbnail, and sometimes they troll you. So yeah, DJ Max is fun. I have fun poking at it occasionally. It's fun just to go through and when I don't know what else to do. And it's never ever safe to buy outside of its expansion launch sales because it's so expensive otherwise. So I just broke the ice with everybody and got him the base pack or the base game. So they can consider checking it out if they'd like. Right. So that covers part of what I did during my weeks, um, for the few hours of gaming I had, which was poke at DJ Maxx. Uh, so poked at DJ Maxx. Played the expansions I didn't have with Ibu, a couple hours, and that's really all I did there. Um, what else? And then the only other thing, I guess I can boot this and hope the sound isn't on. So I have done the introductory missions and the introductory story mode for it, so I put about 4 hours of playtime into it. That's the new Shadowverse game. See it booting up on the other screen. I'll make sure it's muted so y'all don't get blasted, and so I don't get copyright struck. So, new Shadowverse came out. Actually showing, yep. So the game got review bombed hard at the start of it by people mad that it's not as generous as the first Shadowverse game. It's a side games gacha. It's still more generous than a bunch of the other gachas out there. You still get one free card pack per day. And they give out a ton from the events and stuff. But you will not be able to build like 3 meta decks day one from just the free crap you've accrued and saved up. You might have enough for one. Now, unfortunately for me, I did get enough cards to build one meta deck. I say meta in the biggest air quotes possible. I even got the little leader you can pull, which is incredibly rare. However, it's for the absolute worst archetype right now. Like, it's not even close. So, I have this deck here that I've been working on. That's my only really constructed deck. The other ones are all baby decks, and I had to make some of the cards for this one, just because it was the closest one to being finished. And I have not really gone into ranked with it because I haven't had time. But Abysscraft, for those that don't know about Shadowverse previously, instead of magic colors or Hearthstone classes, because we're focusing closer to Hearthstone here, we have, instead of the WoW classes, we have Forestcraft, Swordcraft, Runecraft, Dragoncraft, what was Shadow and Abysscraft, Havencraft, and Portalcraft. Shadow and Bloodcraft is what it used to be called, have been rolled into a singular craft called Abysscraft for this expansion. I don't really know why. They both played radically different than each other. And you will see elements, like if I boot this deck, you will see cards that do things like deal damage to both leaders, because the gimmick of Bloodcraft was the lower your health was, the more benefits you got. So you would, if you were playing against an aggro deck, against Abysscraft, they had to be careful not to push you at certain thresholds because you would get more powerful. And your cards could swing the game back the other direction really easy and wall them out. And Shadowcraft had a few gimmicks, but its primary one was what's the name for it now? The necromancy mechanic, where every card on your side of the field that left your side of the field contributed to a counter in the bottom left side of the board. And there were card effects that would just increase this counter as well. And it really focused on swarming your board, sacrificing your minions, and building up this counter. And then whenever you had enough in this counter, enough tokens in this pool of counters to do something with, like a Necromancy 8, for example, you would need 8 tokens down there. I think I actually have one that Necromancy 8 somewhere. Necromancy 6 will work for Cerberus here. So if I have 6 tokens there when I play her, she'll consume 6 of those tokens to give all my dudes on the field +2/+0. And this is just based on killing your own side of the board and having your dudes get sacrificed. And you would have a ton of cards that, like, when they die, summon 2 copies of a 1/1 skeleton that you can either sack yourself or run into the opponent, or have the opponent have to kill them, and this will all contribute to your counter. That was the Shadowcraft side of it. Bloodcraft side, where you're doing damage to yourself, has zero support in the base set, but there are just cards all over the place that all do damage to you that don't do anything except hurt you because they don't build towards anything. There's nothing in the base set that can help you with the Bloodcraft side of things.
Well, so you got meta cards for hurting yourself and not for winning games.
Yeah, like all you can do is hurt yourself.
It's for those people who are like super edgy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it's just I don't know what to do with it. So I guess we can. I'm not going to do a multiplayer match, but I can do a practice match. I guess I can turn on my dangerous here, but we will attempt this. I'll attempt to stream it to Discord while I do this. Normally, you have to play as a big scary monster for Abysscraft, so I'm quite glad I got the stupidly rare leader pull. But let's pick against a basic. Go with it in our deck actually, because I might actually lose to the AI. Go intermediate swordcraft.
Bruh, your deck is meta, bruh.
Oh yeah, meta. It is by meta I mean it is the best Abysscraft deck you can cobble together. It is rock bottom for all the crafts. And it's not even close. The rarest achievement in the game right now is for winning 5 ranked matches with Abysscraft. So you mulligan your hand. And unlike previous Shadowverse, you'll notice that we have this purple circle now for evolving cards. So you play your cards, and they have summoning sickness so they can't attack, and they do all kinds of things. If it's got the little skull on it, it means that it'll do something when it dies. This, I kill this, and I hurt myself. But guess what? I don't have any mechanics to play off that because it's only half of a craft right now. And for some reason, they started at 15 HP. I guess because versus AI. So I'm trying to get to as quick as I can.
So, I mean, it's not like hurting yourself builds to anything per se in Black and Magic. It's just that it's a cost that you pay.
No, but there would usually be a card that, you know, either the effect itself would be very powerful, or
Well, I mean, yeah, that's the thing, though, right? That's what Black does. Is your life points are things that are harder to get back than mana. So if you pay life, you get proportionally better results for having reduced your time to kill, basically.
yeah, that is unfortunately not what we're working with here. So
are you saying that just the effects are just too weak to justify the life cost?
yeah, because in the previous game, there was a tangible benefit on your side if you were below 12 and 8 life. But that is not the case here. So, now we have the old evolved mechanic that I can show you. While I sneeze my face off. Hang on. So I'll play my legendary dude in the woof hat. He kills all them. And I can evolve him right now, and he would be able to attack something on the board, and if there was something to attack, because
He's a furry.
he's more got just a pelt. Well, let's evolve him anyway. And you'll notice his evolve effect is going to hurt me and the opponent, but it just kind of does that. So they're just going to delete it. That's fine. I could play another one, but I want to get to Super Evolve to show what that does. So I can play this thing, and I'll just take these out. And I'm intentionally playing bad both to aid dump my hand and keep this guy alive long enough so I can actually show off the mechanics, because it's just a computer. So I don't actually know what that does. Oh. That's terrifying. Okay. So now we have the big you can super evolve. So I'm actually going to stall for a turn. can show you what super evolving does, which is the brand new mechanic. So you can still evolve dudes and have them ignore summoning sickness and attack on board. They can't go face if you evolve them. They only get rush, which is different than storm. Storm lets you ignore summoning sickness and attack turn 1. And you can go board or face. Rush, you ignore summoning sickness but can only hit stuff on board. And you get rush when you evolve or super evolve. So we have Coco. And because I had enough tokens down here, they got buffed from her effect. And now you can super evolve. Super evolve gives you +3/+3 on the character, makes it big, repeats any of their evolve actions, and they can't take damage on your turn, which is really, really strong. Rough that one up. And this is pretty much how the game works. It's Shadowverse if you've seen it before.
Yeah, well, you've never really shilled for the game mechanics all that much for Shadowverse. You're always shilling for the story.
Yeah. It's a very solid card game, but it is not yeah, like this guy. He's got okay stats, but he just makes you take damage on your turn?
So is it supposed to work like Wish was,
In what way?
where you give up as you get more beaten down, the average power level of what you can play goes up, because the game is built around the idea that if you push your opponent too hard too fast, they'll turn the tables on you.
That is, in essence, how Bloodcraft is supposed to work as a craft. The lower your health goes, then the more. I've actually played this guy before. I have him in the deck.
I keep getting reminded of whatchamacallit, Fate Collab Week in the Mahjong game,
Yeah.
where effects keep appearing all over the screen.
Yeah. So yeah, it's Shadowverse for the game. The super evolve mechanic is interesting. It does make the boards a little more swingy. I love that Cerberus in this game has puppets for her other 2 heads instead of on her head.
Swinginess is a two-edged sword. Like, on one hand, it makes it feel like you have less ability to build decisive advantage, but on the other hand, it makes it less feel like a fait accompli if you end up on the back foot.
Yeah. So I'm not one way or the other about it, but it is a thing. We did get to carry over a few things from Shadowverse.
Enough to justify just playing the entire previous one before starting the.
Well, most of the stuff you got to carry over were rewards you got from pulling packs from actively playing at the time. You carried over a few story rewards, but not too many. You got a few icons and stuff. Like, I have not up there as my icon because I pulled a lot of Reveal packs to get not as a leader for Swordcraft. And I have Luna here as a background for something I did with Luna and Shadowcraft in the last game. But yeah, so that's.
Did they pull the plug on the original entirely? Well, I can't remember what they did.
It's still alive. You can go and play it still, but it's not being actively supported. There'll be
maintenance mode.
Yeah, it's full maintenance mode. There'll be no more new sets or new story or anything. All the new stories happening here.
Are they still doing like anniversaries, or are they just discontinued interaction with it as a product?
I do not know, and I don't know if they've announced it yet. So, because the anniversary would be in late August. So for this one, we only have Chapter Dryson and the prologue. These are your standard intro stories. Although, surprisingly, they have not flushed the old story. Dryson's story takes place on Iolon, one of the planets we went to in the last game, and was one of the fan favorites. So it happens at an earlier point in time in Iolon, from based on what we saw. But
You mean earlier 10 years or earlier 10,000 years?
hard to tell with Eilon because everybody there's a robot.
Oh.
Because the robots killed all the people. But everybody loves Eilon. Everybody.
Wasn't there some robot that you really liked?
Oh, Mono. Yeah, I miss Mono. There's a name entry of who is Baphomet Ardelite's favorite child, and if you type in Mono, you see her silhouette in the story mode. Mono's not the correct answer, but if you type it in, it will it'll do that. So you probably noticed at the bottom of my screen, there's this park button that has a big old notification that says an event is underway. This seems to be a thing in Japanese games lately, where you can make a little avatar and run around and socialize in a park of some kind, or some little avatar, or some little lobby. So this was the release event. I've already got all the rewards from that.
Yep.
And they have this little park chest. You can get stuff by doing little...
They added one of these to Honkai Impact 3 on a temporary basis for New Year's.
Yeah.
I was not playing very much at the time, so I didn't work out what was actually in there per se. But it was rather surprising, and another indication that Hoyoverse are insane, because they clearly put a lot of time into getting it all set up and working. Because Honkai Impact 3 has no multiplayer component, no synchronous multiplayer component at all, as far as I'm aware. It's leaderboard based, and so it seems kind of weird that they would have built an entire synchronous multiplayer lobby mode and had it in the game for like 10 days and then removed it, never to be seen again.
Yeah. So there's also in this one, how do I go to the guild hall? I don't know how to navigate anything. There it is. Go to room first then. So you can set up your own little room. I have, of course, the best character and the best named character on my wall.
Well, possibly the most ridiculously named character.
If I ever get back to tabletop writing, there will be a villain called Aasodfhoasindrfiosn.
What is he still alive? Like, I mean, does he pre-exist?
He was
the story that he's in. Like, is he still around in this particular part of the timeline, or
he was the final big bad of Reveal and got pretty decisively murdered at the end of it. So I don't.
Yeah, but this takes place beforehand, doesn't it?
Yeah, so I guess if we go back to Reveal, Aasodfhoasindrfiosn, we could see young Aasodfhoasindrfiosn. And young, not. Man, Reveal was such a good thing. You can do matchmaking from your room and stuff, and that you can also go to the guild hall somewhere, somehow. I figure out how to get there.
I don't have time for another gacha.
Yeah,
I have enough problems.
Yeah, so don't remember how to go to the guild hall, but there is a guild hall. So the lobby has one feature that is very nice in alleviating a problem for the old Shadowverse, although I think there was much more elegant ways to deal with it. The old Shadowverse would often have dailies that, like if I go back to the stupid permissions, probably, I don't know what it's probably kicking me back to my room. I don't know. Kick me to my edit avatar screen if I do that. I'm trying to control this with a controller, so it's getting a little... Okay, here we go. So we got daily quest to enter the park and play a match without leaving in the park. And this used to be whenever there was an event going on. The chest itself. No. Here we go. This thing. Over the course of 2 weeks, it'll ask you to play like 10 games with 10 different people as their way of doing community engagement to get people to socialize. Nobody wanted to socialize. This did not work. So I don't know why they kept doing it. And instead what they did is they just, what people would do is there would be a dedicated thread on the Reddit. You would just go post a open lobby ID and say, come join my game. I'm trying to get the Chivo thing. and everybody would just post IDs, and you would either post yours in there or go type in somebody else's and try and sneak in. As a way to get your 10 different matches with 10 different people. And once the timer for that 2 weeks is up, they distribute a number of rewards based on how many matches you did. So this alleviates that because all you got to do is just go walk up to a table and play one game, and that's it.
And it will just matchmake you.
Yeah, it'll give you 30 seconds for somebody nearby to sit down at the table and play with you, or it'll just matchmake you after that 30 seconds has passed. And that counts for playing in the lobby. That person has spent way too much money on this game. You have to pull the leader twice to get the avatar. They have got Cerberus. And it's a 1 in 4 chance to get the leader you want. So they had to win a 1 in 4 twice. Yeah, and there's little lobby tournaments. There's actually, whenever the lobby tournament's going on, you can watch it up here for whoever's at the top table, at the TV up there. The Runecraft is one of the top 2 decks right now. These people are both playing Runecraft, so they got spells for days and all kinds of stuff that get boosted in your hand. That guy's got Dimension Climb in his hand, which is a card that lets you redo your entire turn and costs 1 less every time you play a spell in the game.
What stops you from opening up another account on a laptop and looking at your opponent's hand?
Presumably you could do that. Unless this has a time lag on it. But yeah, I suppose you totally could. I don't know if they thought that far ahead. So that's the other thing with this. This whole little lobby area that they've made for you to run around in, is what caused the massive disaster last year, because this game was supposed to be out a year ago. So we don't know why exactly. This thing was planned to have all kinds of mini games in it. Like you could play Mahjong here and go fishing, and there was going to be like a Grand Blue mini Fall Guys type thing going on.
All nude messages in the guest book.
Yeah, all that crap had to be cut. Like, something disastrous happened behind the scenes last year that just totally crashed this game. And delayed it by a whole year. And this meant that they had to rely on income for Shadowverse, the original, after they had already announced that the new game was coming out in 2 months. And they had just announced the game is dead, and we're putting it in maintenance mode. And the game has been sitting in maintenance mode for a year. They did do the anniversary last year because, well, there's no Shadowverse 2 yet, so I guess that makes sense. And, yeah, you're just kind of stuck with no game to play for a whole year because nobody's playing matchmaking when old Shadowverse was on life support because they were waiting on the new one. And then just out of nowhere, they dropped like a month before it came out. Yeah, we're delaying it by an entire year. So the game has not had any income coming in for a year.
What were they doing for that year, though?
We don't know. We don't know what kind of disaster happened that just totally blew up everything. But something had to have gone horribly, horribly wrong. I don't know if it was the fundamental gameplay of the Evolve universe trying to mesh with this, or the Worlds Beyond just breaking and it not being fun, and they had to retool the base gameplay. I don't know if it was the lobby was just way too over ambitious for what they had planned, and they had promised it, and they didn't want to get dinged for false advertising, so they still had to do something. It could be any number of things. So yeah, it's we've had no Shadowverse for a year functionally. I am glad they went out of their way to wrap up the story. I have downloaded the entire story onto a hard drive for the original Shadowverse. But and I'm glad the story is continuing as it was. I do like the card game. I don't think it's the most riveting card game out there. It's better than Hearthstone because the evolve mechanic lets you stay in the game easier. You don't get stuck in a awkward position where you don't have any answers to a board usually, unless they're playing Latica combo, which is just can the opponent do advanced algebra. And if the answer is yes, you just don't have an answer and lose on turn 4. But the power level is so low in the game right now because we just have the base set that games are regularly lasting until turn 8, 9, sometimes 10. So it's fine. But yeah, we don't know what happened. And this seems to have knocked over into the monetization because it used to be card packs would cost 100 rupees and you would get 180 rupees per day with dailies. And now you still get about 180 rupees per day with dailies, but card packs now cost 500. But you get a free card pack every day you log in to offset it. In addition, you get dailies that lets you open this part chest here a certain number of times. They give you additional rupees beyond that 180. 180 average, that is. Different quests give, that you can roll for the day give you different ones, different amounts. But the part chest over here can give you card packs. It can give you tons more rupees. It can give you there. You can win
over time. If all you did was just log in every day and never did a daily, you could still build up cards.
Yeah, but the people from Shadowverse 1 are so used to being able to just construct a meta deck on day 1 and then have like 3 meta decks done by week 1 that they don't know how to handle this.
They don't know how to handle it being kind of like an actual card game.
Yeah, like it if you get lucky with the pulls and hit all one craft, assuming it's not Abyss craft, you can make a functional deck. Because there's no such thing as a functional Abyss craft deck. It can beat the computers, and that's about it.
So will you kill the CPU opponent before you accidentally kill yourself?
Yeah, because the mechanic used to be called Vengeance, and there used to be it used to have effects when you were at 12 health and below and 8 health and below, and cards would have Vengeance or whatever that super effect was called when you were lower for Bloodcraft, and they would get bonus effects if you played them when you were lower HP.
Has the developer offered any commentary on why there's this sort of like one suicidally underpowered archetype?
Nope, we have no idea. But it's K because Cerberus is cute. Well, Cerberus isn't that cute, but her heads 2 and 3 are because they're hand puppets. But and also every time you go back to the home screen from the park lobby, you have to tell it to reconnect. But yeah, you're if you roll Abysscraft and you don't get lucky like I did and pull Cerberus, so you're super unlucky and just roll the cards for Abysscraft, you have to play as that thing.
I see.
So you have Big Ugly Monster or Adorable Cerberus and her hand puppets. Her hand puppets are named Mimi and Coco. So yeah, that's where the game's at right now. It's got a lot of negative reviews right now, but it's still very early in the card game's life cycle. I want to poke at it more. I don't have time to do any kind of rank grind or anything to really sit down and figure out the decks. I've just cobbled together the best thing I can put together based on what I've got. Because I'm so busy with work right now. Yeah, so I was able to bring over. I think all these were story mode unlocks for doing well enough in the story mode for all the old characters. So yeah, that's Shadowverse. Also, you can play with the controller now if you really want to. But yeah, everybody who is anybody misses Mrs. Mono. They want her back. But because Mono was funny. And she did get together with the vampire at the end. They shipped Vampire Man and Mono so hard, and everybody loved this because it was the stupidest ship on the planet. We have an autistic robot and a battle-crazed autistic vampire. How can we mush these together into a couple? And they somehow pulled it off. Because it's not like either of those things can reproduce to begin with, so that's not an issue in this relationship. So that is where we're at with Shadowverse. I'll try to poke at it, but I don't. Work has been a nightmare in terms of just everything going wrong all at once, but it will all turns into potential money, so this means I can't just put it off. It all is demanding active and real attention. I just do not have time to sit and hammer away at it. Or rather, I need to sit down and hammer away at it. I don't have time just to, oh, it'll wait till Monday. I'm not making any money off this anyway. No. All this is potential money. So, I don't budget. Problem one, if your electrical engineer puts 460 volts on the electrical drawings and 208 volts on the plumbing drawings, and I sell you a 208 panel, what do you think happens when you hook up the 208 panel to a 460 volt input?
Fireworks.
Yes. You know what's not covered under warranty?
Firework displays.
Yes. So, my customer is angry at his customer, who is Walmart, because they just blew up a panel.
Well, they better buy another one.
And furthermore, that same engineering group, which is in-house Walmart engineers, so you know they're just top quality engineers, listed 40, no, it wasn't 40, it was 32 feet of head for the pump's flow rate. They're like 15 GPM at 32 feet ahead. You know what the actual feet ahead is? Around 60. Now, for those of you that have not had to size flow rates and fluids before, that is not a linear scale. The more feet of head you get, it gets more and more exponential the higher your feet ahead goes up. If you get your feet ahead off by a factor of 2, you need about 3.5 times the horsepower at the scale we're talking about right now. So their pumps couldn't actually pump the water out. And there are 24 of these things. So now I have the fun challenge, and this is what I was doing today and why I didn't get in until the absolute last second. I had to sit there with new constraints on the job because I've already sold them 36-inch diameter basins. I had to figure out how the fudge I can cram pumps that are now significantly higher in horsepower into the system and still use as much of their existing system as possible. And I've spent all week re-engineering this. So it's not been a very productive week for video games, but it has been an incredibly busy week for work. So yeah, that's where I'm at for my week. I've stretched as I can stretch for my week. I do have one little newslet I can talk about, but that's all I got. You ready to move into the news?
You got news?
Well, it's a newslet, not news per se. Because I did watch one thing that came out, just out of morbid curiosity mostly, and was actually pleasantly surprised by it. As in, I might actually buy a Nintendo Switch 2 game. So they put out the new trailer, or not trailer, but the new Nintendo Direct for the new Donkey Kong game. And I had written off everything about this system as being just mediocre at best. Doesn't look particularly interesting. They're probably not going to do any unique or cool ideas. You know, especially after Mario Kart, I was not, things were not looking optimistic. the Donkey Kong Direct came out, and it actually looks really, really interesting. So, to start it off, they're totally moving away from a bunch of the rareware stuff, which I don't like, and is the part I'm not so sanguine about. Most of the like Donkey Kong's design has been changed. He doesn't look like he did for the country games that which we're all familiar with. That have been staples ever since Rareware redesigned the character that way for the Super Nintendo. He's much fuzzier now. Looks closer to how he does in the movie, the Mario movie. And they appear to be doing a timeline reset of sorts because Pauline is now a young kid, and she is central to this game. So it follows your standard 3D collectathon style of adventure, kind of like your Banjo Kazooies and stuff. Of you acquire power ups and you go around and you can go backtrack on the maps and teleport between map layers to go and collect more golden nanners. But there's a couple quirks that make it stand out. The first quirk is the entire environment is destructible, like everything, all of it. You can just rip mountains to pieces. They demonstrate this in the trailer of them time lapsing, destroying an entire mountain. So, if you really enjoy lawn mowing in video games, there's a lot of lawn to mow here. Multiple layers stacked on top of each other to mow, which just seems like a ton of fun. They have all kinds of exploration based power ups and stuff you can get, like when you clap your hands, you can pick up items around you for the small drops and stuff and see inside of mountains and rocks around you further and further out. To find hidden stuff you can do, and that's really cool. The other thing is they seem to be going in a very musical direction with this game, which nobody guessed from the original trailers. Because Pauline at post Mario Odyssey, even though she was like the mayor of New Donk City or whatever, is also a singer. And baby Pauline is an aspiring singer. And she powers Donkey Kong up by singing songs for him while she's riding around on his back. And can let Donkey Kong transform into all kinds of Super Saiyan modes based on the songs she sings. And she can have like she can have all kinds of passive effects she can apply to Donkey Kong through her songs. And I thought this was actually really cute and fun. I'm like, oh, I might actually scoop this one. Now, I don't know how much of this is me trying to recoup some of the lost value I knew I was sinking into this brick, but it was not a wholly negative reaction going through it. Like the exploration looks fun, the different power ups look interesting. I like I love when you can use big music power ups. I think that's always nice. The map looked sensible and put together, and the super lawn mowing looked like a lot of fun. And there was a whole bunch of character customization in the game, which I also was not expecting. Where all the different outfits you can get for Donkey Kong and Pauline have different effects. Like you can get a little fishing jacket outfit for Pauline and swim trunks for Donkey Kong to make him swim faster and stuff. So a whole lot of character customization, skill point trees and stuff. They really went all out with this, and it seems like they've got a winner of a platformer here. But I have a question. If they had something like this so close to launch, near done, why didn't they release this alongside Mario Kart as the main killer app of the thing? Because this looks like it could have moved consoles.
Well, probably because they just decided on a release date, but the game fell behind.
Yeah,
that's usually the reason.
Yeah, like this thing has enough juice behind it. You can move consoles with this. It looks really good. I was genuinely surprised by how interested I was throughout the direct. I expected to cut the thing off, but it kept my interest the whole time.
And you're confident that it's not copium.
I'm 95% sure it's not copium. Now a bunch of this is it falls into my collectibles wheelhouse. If I just like games that give me a whole lot of fun exploration options to go in and 100% games with, and this seems to feed that particular little mental disorder of mine pretty well. So there is a preference bias there, but I don't think it's copium. So yeah, if you have not seen it, I think I linked it in show host. I'll move it to live show chat so people can check it out. Um, but yeah, it actually looked interesting. I actually have a game that I kind of want to play. It's coming out in a bit under a month, so I think it comes out on the 17th. So as long as the day one reviews come out and it's like, no, it's not hot garbage. It's actually working because that's something you always got to worry about these days, right? I trust no company anymore. Even though Nintendo has a track record of not releasing just totally broken games, there's still the non-zero chance, right? Every other company has burned me, and Nintendo's going the way it is lately. I can't guarantee they won't do it next. So if the day one reviews come out and it's not terrible, I'll consider scooping it. It seems like it'll be a fun time. So that's all I got for that news lit. Like I said, it's a lit.
Hmm. I don't think that I saw any news worth talking about. My focus was largely on the Hoyo. There were people who were trying to say that the new Borderlands is turning over a new leaf, a soft reboot sort of. That they're going to get rid of a lot of the Birch writing. Don't know if I trust them. Don't think I do. We'll wait and see.
No, talk about somebody that went off the deep end with the woke brain. Holy crap, Birch.
Yeah, he's sort of become iconic as a cuck at this point.
The only person
Yeah,
that has a bigger reputation of being a cuck than Anthony Birch is like Neil Druckmann.
don't think that I saw anything talking. I mean, there's been a bunch of coverage of like bits of media being, drip fed about the Trails games that are coming out and
Yeah.
people talking about the Stellar Blade PC release and its sales and so on. But I haven't seen anything which I think is actually concrete news.
Yeah, Stellar Blade's on the wait for sale list for me right now, I think. PC. I'm not like it looks like a competent action game, but the main selling point for day oneers doesn't seem to be that for that game. Like I'm not opposed to having good looking ladies in the video games. I in fact encourage it. However, I'm not in the Turbo Gooner camp that will buy games just because of that singular reason.
Yeah, I mean, there's been more information, although not really new information, come out about Monhud title update 2. Like Lagiacrus got confirmed, Archtemper Uthderna got confirmed, Layered Weaponry got confirmed, but
We have to be
I
able
don't
to
know.
play
People
the
need to be able to
game.
boot the game first.
Yeah, like we're kind of stuck. Like we both remember how big of a pain in the butt it was to boot up last time.
Yeah, I mean, Layered Weapons is the one everybody's waiting for. Why they didn't launch that if they were going to do something as hideous as the Artian series, I don't know. But
Yeah.
I guess the Dual Blades users will now be able to use Artian Dual Blades without shame.
Yeah, Artie and Dual Blades are not very good looking.
I expect the optimal though, considering how strongly Artian allows you to lean on element.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to, fight with those things.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to get excited for Monster Hunter World stuff right now when I don't even know if I'm going to be able to launch the game next time it boots. I legitimately have
Yeah,
stopped following all the news for it.
I think that they just made some real key mistakes. The biggest one was their inability to actually deliver a game that functions for most people at an acceptable level, and the other one was autopilot chicken. Like between those two things, the game basically gutted itself. The the issue with the game being too easy is something they could have always cleaned up later, but they can't clean up autopilot chicken.
Yeah, like it literally has become just there is no hunting in the Monster Hunter. There is it's Monster Bonk with a taxi.
Yeah, I remember saying this when they introduced the riding mechanic in Iceborne and later in Rise, that I thought that this was going to really deconstruct what it meant to play Monster Hunter if they kept going with it. And I think that it was attenuated for a lot of people because in Iceborne you didn't have absolute control over your mount. It kind of sort of did what it wanted to a certain extent.
You also
And in
you also still had to
Rise
find
they had
it. Yeah,
in Rise they had the sort of the Rise the portable style simplified area structure, and everything ended up being based around finding another monster to ride anyway. So learning that sort of the gameplay loop of where can you go to find a monster in this stage to help you fight the other monster, like that ended up replacing the hunting navigation part of the gameplay, so people didn't notice it was missing. But in Wilds, there's nothing, no fig leaf to cover it over. It's just you don't interact with the environment anymore because Sacred will take you where you need to go, or at least it will take you where it wants to go.
yeah. In World, by the time if you took Wild's map and transplanted it onto the World engine, like I would have memorized the entirety of Oil Well Basin by now. As it stands now, I still don't know a dang way to get around that place. It just doesn't matter.
Yeah, I just hope that I put a camp in the right place.
Like, I don't even use the camps because I don't know where I put those things. I don't know where they are when I'm in your game or when we're in squad lobby.
I
Like,
don't know where they are when I'm in my game.
I just get on the chicken and tell it to go.
It was a mistake, and it seems like an obvious mistake. I don't know. I don't know why you would do it. Like there are some things about lowering the bar that I think are good. Like I think that the lowering of the bar as far as like I mean I'm biased, but as a bowgun player, making basic ammos really pissed me off. It just made me not want to use the weapon a lot of the time. I mean, you get to a tipping point where you've got so much that you don't need to think about it anymore. But I don't like farming plant materials in Monster Hunter at all. I want it to be enough that the incidental things I run across when I'm fossicking around looking for monster tracks to be sufficient. I don't want to actually have to do farming runs. But so I'm fine with that sort of change. But to actually remove the role that the map plays as a habitat for the monster, as opposed to just being an arena, like that's a much more critical error to make, in my opinion, and it should have been very obvious to them that that's the way it was going to go.
But
I don't think I've seen anybody say that they actually appreciate it. Even the people who are really new and have no investment in what Monster Hunter was previously, I don't think I've seen anybody say, "Oh, it's really convenient that I can do this."
yeah,
I think that they just don't realize what they're missing is all.
the greatest extent of map interaction we have is hoping that the monster goes up to that area with the rocks we drop on it on the sand dune. That's about it. That's the closest thing to map interaction we have. Otherwise, it's just basically go fight the monster out in the open or go fight the monster in its arena. Jellyfish.
Jellyfish. Anyway, I don't have anything else. I don't know if you've got anything else. I can't think of anything else.
No, I'm staring at a jellyfish. Well, it went away now, but it'll be back. Yeah, I had to stretch with Shadowburst stuff because you've been away and I've been way too busy this week to do anything of substance.
That guy who made the Devil May Cry animation has got Duke Nukem lined up as his next project.
Oh no. Man, that wasn't even received well on the Devil May Cry Reddit, and they're super positive over there. They didn't used to be. I'm not sure what happened.
Probably they tuned out.
Probably.
That seems to be the usual way.
Or they got mods that came in that had already done so. You know, like 3 mods or mods for all of Reddit. All right. Since we don't have anything else, I think we'll call it there. Make it a relatively short show for the recent shows. So we will see y'all next week. Hopefully, I will be able to resolve most of my issues and be able to actually play some of these games that I've been showing you bits from and talking about, and get caught up in Genshin and Star Rail and ZZ and all that. Because if anything's happened in these games in the last like 5 days, I don't have a clue what they are. So we will see you then.